Without hesitation, he propelled them forward, causing the sleigh to glide swiftly. Xiao Nani purposefully steered towards a less congested area. Observing their direction, Han Feng felt the urge to tail them, only to be halted by Xue Qi, who chided. Are you truly that naive? Why on earth would you follow them now? But one have to protect my master. You act as if you stand a chance against His Highness King Cheng. Xue Qi interjected before Han Feng could finish. Soon, Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan vanished from sight. Beyond the flat terrain, they encountered a long slope on the ice. Xiao Nani shifted, standing protectively behind Jiang Peihuan. As the sleigh began its rapid descent, Xiao Nani, look over there. As they sped downward, Jiang Peihuan spotted ice sculptures in the distance on the ice surface. Whoever had carved them had created numerous patterns, and from afar, it looked like a beautiful painting. Following her gaze, Xiao Nani also noticed the ice sculptures. However, he quickly averted his eyes, turning them instead to Jiang Peihuan in front of him. Seeing the smile on her face, there was nothing but warmth in his eyes. As the two continued forward, people on the shore instinctively watched those on the ice. Among them were Xiao Juanhao and Lin Mengyao. Because of the first snow, Lin Mengyao specifically invited Xiao Juanhao out. Originally, Lin Mengyao was in a good mood. However, after witnessing the scene on the ice, the smile in her eyes instantly dimmed. After sliding down the slope, the sleigh could no longer move forward. At this point, Xiao Nani got off the sleigh and stood in front, pulling Jiang Peihuan along. From time to time, he would ask Jiang Peihuan about the direction she wanted to go, and then follow the direction Jiang Peihuan pointed at. Witnessing the scene, Lin Mengyao struggled to maintain her smile, her hands clenched tightly. Throughout the capital, she was constantly compared to Jiang Peihuan. Since Lin Mengyao lacked prowess in martial arts, she took up the study of medicine, aiming to outshine Jiang Peihuan in this field. However, when Jiang Peihuan recently cured her of a particular poison, Lin Mengyao was confronted with the realization that her much-vaunted medical skills paled in comparison to Jiang Peihuan's. While Jiang Peihuan enjoyed the genuine affection of King Cheng, Lin Mingjiao's fate was to be wed to Prince Qing as a mere side consort. In the grand scheme of things, a side consort was essentially a concubine. From a distance, she observed the scene on the ice. Xiao Nani, the esteemed brother of the emperor, personally pulled the sleigh, all to bring joy to Jiang Peihuan. In that moment, Lin Mengyao was not alone in her swirl of emotions. Xiao Juanhao, standing beside her, shared her sentiments. Captured by the brilliant smile on Jiang Peihuan's face, Xiao Juanhao mused on how enchanting she appeared when she beamed. Yet, perplexingly, her expression always seemed to darken whenever her eyes met his. Your Highness, you're here too? At this moment, a melodious voice suddenly echoed in Xiao Junhao's ears. Turning his head, he saw Jiang Yan, accompanied by her maid, walking towards them. Dressed in white, Jiang Yan looked ethereal in this winter setting. Already possessing stunning looks and having made an extra effort in her appearance for the outing, she was truly a sight to behold. Xiao Juanhao, being a normal man, couldn't help but smile a bit when he saw her, even though he didn't have feelings for her. After all, she was the main consort bestowed upon him by Emperor Qi Ming. Miss Jiang. Jiang Yan approached, and upon seeing Lin Mengyao next to Xiao Juanhao, she remarked with a smile, Miss Lin is here too. Chapter 213. Drenched Socks and Shoes. Miss Jiang. Seeing her, Lin Mengyao couldn't hold back her smile anymore. She walked forward and bowed to Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan returned the greeting, but she quietly stood beside Xiao Juanhao. Mengyao Lin bit her lip and walked to the side. Your Highness, I find this ice skating quite interesting. Why don't we go and have a try? Jiang Yan saw Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan on the ice and, thinking of something, she laughed and turned to Xiao Juanhao. If Miss Jiang wishes, I will accompany you. Jiang Yan, although she made the suggestion, was prepared for Xiao Juanhao to refuse. After all, she had heard about the relationship between Lin Mengyao and Xiao Juanhao. But to Jiang Yan's surprise, Xiao Juanhao agreed to her request. However, the ones who went down weren't just Jiang Yan and Xiao Juanhao, because Lin Mengyao also joined them. Jiang Peihuan, who was having fun, suddenly heard a familiar and annoying voice. Imperial uncle? Turning her head, Jiang Peihuan saw Xiao Juanhao approaching. Although she deeply disliked this man, due to his royal status, Jiang Peihuan had no choice but to rise from her sleigh and bow to him. Xiao Nani looked at the group of people who had suddenly appeared, and his expression instantly turned cold. He looked coldly at Xiao Juanhao and said, "Why has the Prince Qing come here? Today is the first snow, and the city river must be very lively. As this is Miss Jiang's first visit to the capital, I wanted to show her around." Hearing this, Jiang Yan's eyes showed a hint of surprise, followed by derision. If she hadn't seen Lin Mingyao standing next to Xiao Juanhao, she might have thought he had brought her out intentionally. However, this was her future husband. So smiling, Jiang Yan turned to Jiang Peihuan. "Miss Jiang, we meet again." Next, Jiang Yan greeted Xiao Nani, "King Cheng?" Regarding Jiang Yan's greeting, Xiao Nani merely glanced at her without saying a word. "Huan Er, do you still want to continue playing?" Turning to look at Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nanya's eyes were full of tenderness. Having played for a while and seeing Xiao Juanhao, even the best scenery could not uplift Jiang Peihuan's mood. Hearing Xiao Nanya's words, she softly said, "Cousin Chi is waiting for us over there. Let's go find them." "All right." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, the man nodded lightly. In front of these people, Jiang Peihuan naturally could not sit on the sleigh letting Xiao Juanhao pull her. Moreover, the path ahead was uphill, so Jiang Peihuan stepped off the sleigh. "Miss Jiang, you continue to play." "I'll go first," Jiang Peihuan said in a soft voice as she walked to Jiang Yan's side. She then proceeded to follow Xiao Nani. However, as she passed by Xiao Juanhao, Jiang Peihuan suddenly lost her footing. "Be careful." Xiao Juanhao, who was standing beside Jiang Peihuan, saw her fall into the ice water and subconsciously reached out his hand. Thanks to Xiao Junhao's quick reflexes, Jiang Peihuan was pulled to safety, though her shoes and socks were wet. That was fortunate. If not for Xiao Junhao's timely intervention, Jiang Peihuan might have fallen into the icy water. By this time, Xiao Nani had come over. Reaching out to hold Jiang Peihuan's hand, the man sized her up carefully. "Huan Er, are you hurt?" "I'm fine." Seeing Jiang Peihuan shake her head, Xiao Nani squatted down, touched her wet shoes and frowned. "Your shoes and socks are wet." The bottom of Jiang Peihuan's feet were piercingly cold, but hearing Xiao Nanya's words, she softly said, "No problem, I'll change into a new pair in the carriage later. First, take off the wet shoes and socks." As he spoke, Xiao Nani had already helped Jiang Peihuan sit on the sleigh. Afterward, the man squatted down, turning his back to Xiao Juanhao and the others. Ignoring Jiang Peihuan's attempts to stop him, Xiao Nani carefully took off her shoes and socks. There was a hint of embarrassment in Jiang Peihuan's eyes, but the scene that followed made her eyes reveal a bit of surprise. Xiao Nani removed his cloak and covered Jiang Peihuan with it, placing her feet inside. What's more, he took her feet in his hands. Jiang Peihuan instinctively tried to withdraw, but he tightened his grip. In just a moment, Jiang Peihuan's cold feet warmed up. Only after both of Jiang Peihuan's feet were warm did he release them, meticulously covering her with his cloak before bending down to pick up her shoes and socks. Without even looking at Xiao Juanhao and the others, Xiao Nani began pulling the sleigh's reins, moving forward. Though dressed in simple black attire, Jiang Peihuan's eyes brimmed with smiles as she looked at his retreating figure. Xiao Juanhao and the other two had different expressions on their faces as they watched them leave. At this moment, Jiang Yan remarked lightly, "How did the ice crack all of a sudden?" While speaking, her gaze landed directly on Lin Mingyao. Meeting Jiang Yan's gaze, Lin Mingyao responded with a smile. "After all, it's only the first day. It's normal for the ice to be unstable." However, Lin Mingyao's hand slipped into her cloak. Seeing her movement, Jiang Yan simply smiled and said nothing more. Xiao Juanhao only withdrew his hand when Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani disappeared from his sight. "Don't move." Upon reaching the shore, Jiang Peihuan prepared to stand up. Just as she was about to, she heard Xiao Nanya's voice. Immediately he reached out, lifting Jiang Peihuan into his arms horizontally. "Huan Er, what happened? Are you hurt?" Shueqi, who had been playing with Han Feng, rushed over after seeing this. He ran so quickly that he almost tripped. Seeing the worry in Xueqi's eyes, Jiang Peihuan whispered, I'm fine. I just accidentally got my shoes and socks wet. Do we have a spare pair of shoes and socks in the carriage? By this time, Xiao Nani, still holding Jiang Peihuan, had reached the carriage and directed his question to Yi Xiao. Yes. Hearing Yi Xiao's response, Xiao Nani, carrying Jiang Peihuan, entered the carriage. Yi Xiao had already taken out Jiang Peihuan's shoes and socks from a drawer in the carriage. As she was about to approach, Xiao Nani took them from her and said, You can go out first. Hearing Xiao Nani's voice, Yi Xiao paused in surprise. Seeing that Jiang Peihuan didn't protest, she exited the carriage. Soon, only Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan were left inside. Seeing him come over with the shoes and socks, Jiang Peihuan quickly extended her hand. One can do it myself. Chapter 214. Warning, however, the man avoided her hand. Before Jiang Peihuan could react, Xiao Nani had already grabbed her ankle. Sitting beside Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani gently held her ankle with one hand and pulled the sock onto her foot with the other. Upon grasping her ankle, he realized just how delicate Jiang Peihuan's foot was, barely fitting into his palm. Although Jiang Peihuan maintained a calm demeanor, she was internally taken aback by his actions. Once Xiao Nani had finished putting on both of her socks, she hurriedly covered them with her skirt. Seeing that the man was only wearing a single garment, she couldn't help but suggest, You should wear the cloak first. It's cold outside. Isn't this the cloak that? She paused, suddenly recalling that the cloak had just wrapped around her wet feet. However, without hesitation, Xiao Nani picked up the cloak from the carriage and draped it over his shoulders right in front of Jiang Peihuan. Outside the carriage, Han Feng's voice could be heard. Master, are we heading back? Xiao Nani didn't answer Han Feng immediately. Instead, he looked at Jiang Peihuan. Shall we return? Yes, let's go back. Despite the lively atmosphere outside, the sight of Xiao Juanhao had quashed any interest Jiang Peihuan had in staying. She nodded in agreement. Seeing her nod, Xiao Nani directed to the outside. Return to the general's mansion. Yes. Soon after, Han Feng began driving the carriage back to the general's mansion. From a distance at the city river, Xiao Juanhao could clearly see Xiao Nani's carriage. As the carriage moved further away, he clenched his fists, his eyes filled with mixed emotions. Your Highness, would you like to proceed? Asked Lin Mingyao, noticing Xiao Junhao's fixed gaze. She followed his line of sight but saw nothing, prompting her to inquire softly. Hearing her voice, Xiao Juanhao collected his thoughts. He lost any interest in staying and said to Lin Mingyao, I just remembered I have some matters to attend to at the palace. You can continue to enjoy here. But don't stay out too long. Be wary of catching a cold. Turning to Jiang Yan, he continued, Miss Jiang, one have urgent matters to attend to. Of course, Your Highness. Please attend to your affairs, Jiang Yan replied. Xiao Juanhao nodded at Jiang Yan and turned to leave. Once Xiao Juanhao left, the smile on Jiang Yan's face vanished instantly. Similarly, Lin Mingyao's playful demeanor faded. Lin Mingyao turned to Jiang Yan. Miss Jiang, I'm feeling a bit unwell. 111 Take my leave. Having said that, Lin Mingyao turned around and left. Even though Jiang Yan is to be Xiao Junhao's main consort in the future, the Chujiang mansion has no influence in the capital, so Lin Mingyao was not afraid. However, after only a few steps, Jiang Yan's voice stopped her. That ice hole earlier, it was your doing, wasn't it? Jiang Yan's tone was one of certainty. Upon hearing this, surprise filled Lin Mingyao's eyes. But when she turned around, her face was filled with confusion. Looking at Jiang Yan, she smiled and said, I don't understand what Miss Jiang is referring to. Miss Lin, although you acted swiftly, I believe the scent of the medicine still lingers on your fingertips. Upon hearing this, Lin Mingyao's expression changed. Facing Jiang Yan, Lin Mingyao directly spoke up. Miss Jiang, are you trying to threaten me with this? No, it's not a threat, it's a warning. Meeting Lin Mingyao's puzzled look, a faint smile curled up at the corner of Jiang Yan's mouth. Miss Lin, one know the Emperor has decreed me to be the main consort of Prince Qing. I'm aware that this angers you. But what's done is done, so you just have to accept it. Considering we will both be members of the Qing mansion in the future, I just want to remind you. Crossing Miss Jiang is not in your best interest. If you're the only one who ends up unlucky, I wouldn't care. But one don't want my future to be jeopardized because of you. Otherwise, one can't promise one won't take action. By the end of her sentence, Jiang Yan's gaze towards Lin Mingyao was an unmistakable threat. However, Lin Mingyao just laughed lightly. Miss Jiang, you must have noticed, the prince seems to have special feelings for Miss Pei Huan. So what if he does? As soon as Lin Mingyao finished her sentence, Jiang Yan responded indifferently. However, upon hearing Jiang Yan's reply, Lin Mingyao was stunned. Facing her puzzled expression, Jiang Yan continued, "Do you really think that one will fall in love with the Prince Qing, just because I marry into the Qing mansion? Miss Lin, I think you're a smart person. You should know that feelings are the most useless thing. I have never entered the Qing mansion for love." After saying this, Jiang Yan left the city river with her servant girls. Lin Mingyao watched her leave with a complicated look in her eyes. Jian Peihuan was completely unaware of what had happened at the city river. Xiao Nanya's carriage went straight to the general's mansion, and then they went to the Chrysanthemum Hall. Because they had already agreed to have dinner in the old madam's courtyard, the old madam had been waiting for them in the main hall. The room was warm with the charcoal burning. Seeing Jiang Peihuan enter, the old madam smiled and asked, "Is it still lively outside?" "Very lively. When the weather gets better, I will accompany you outside. In this cold weather, I'd rather stay in. Once you marry into the Qing mansion, you won't be able to leave at will. Don't worry, after Huan marries into the Qing mansion, she can still leave whenever she wants, and even come back to the general's mansion. One can accompany her to stay for a few days," Xiao Nani, sitting by the old madam, softly replied. When old Madame Jiang heard this, her eyes lit up. She turned to look at Xiao Nani and asked softly, "Is what your highness said true?" "Of course it is." "That's good. Old madam, the pots are ready." The sky darkened quickly in winter. Not long after they sat down, it was already dark outside. Nanny Su walked in and said to old Madame Jiang. Hearing her words, old Madame Jiang said softly, "Then let's start eating." When Jiang Peihuan helped old Madame Jiang into the dining room, the table was already filled with all kinds of dishes. There was a small pot in front of everyone. "There aren't many dishes in winter, so your highness can eat as you please." After sitting down on the chair, the old madam looked at Xiao Nani and said softly. Chapter 215. The silver banknote in the box. Xiao Nani sat next to Jiang Peihuan. Hearing the old madam's words, he chuckled softly. "Old madam is being too polite. These dishes are already very plentiful." In the subsequent time, everyone quietly dined. The old madam tired quickly. After some conversations with Xiao Nani, the old madam's eyes revealed a hint of fatigue. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan gently said, "Grandmother, it's getting late. Let me escort you to your room." The old madam was indeed a little tired. When she heard Jiang Peihuan's words, she nodded. Xiao Nani and Xueqi had already gone to the main hall for tea. Therefore, Jiang Peihuan helped the old madam to her room. After helping the old madam wash up with Nanny Su, she watched the old madam lie down and prepared to leave. However, the old madam reached out and pulled Jiang Peihuan's hand. "Grandmother, do you have anything else to tell me?" Feeling the warmth of her grandmother's hand, Jiang Peihuan sat down next to the bed, looking at her inquisitively. The old madam did not speak, but glanced at Nanny Su. A moment later, Nanny Su handed over a wooden box. The old madam took the box from Nanny Su and placed it in Jiang Peihuan's palm. Seeing the box in her hand, Jiang Peihuan could not help but ask, "Grandmother, what is this? Open it and take a look." Hearing the old madam's words, Jiang Peihuan gently opened the box. When she saw what was inside, Jiang Peihuan's eyes were full of surprise. Inside the box was a stack of silver banknote and a title deed. "Grandmother, this is some dowry money I kept aside for you." "No, grandmother, one can't accept this." Without a second thought, Jiang Peihuan pushed the box back. Seeing her reaction, a touch of anger flashed in the old madam's eyes. "What? Are you looking down on your grandmother's gifts?" Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan gave a wry smile. Grandmother, you know that's not what I mean. This belongs to you, grandmother. How can I take your things? If it's mine, I can give it to whomever I please. I chose to give it to you, so you should accept it. People often say the elderly can be like children. And in this moment, the old madam indeed exhibited some childlike stubbornness. Meeting Jiang Peihuan's eyes, old Madame Jiang said softly, Don't worry, I didn't give you everything. I've kept some for myself. These are just material things. As long as you live a good life, that's all I wish for. Rest assured, grandmother. I promise I'll live a good life. Hearing the old madam's words, Jiang Peihuan no longer refused the items in the box and tightly held her grandmother's hand instead. The old madam's face brightened with a smile. She reached out, gently caressed Jiang Peihuan's face, and then said, One can see that King Cheng is very fond of you. One believe you will live a good life with him. It's getting late. You should go back and rest early. Okay. Jiang Peihuan nodded, and then left her grandmother's room. When she reached the main hall, she saw Xiao Nani standing alone in the courtyard. Dressed in white, he stood there, almost blending with the snowflakes that danced around him. Xiao Nani? Seeing the man's back, Jiang Peihuan subconsciously called out. Hearing her voice, the man turned around. When he saw her, Xiao Nani's eyes were filled with gentleness. As Jiang Peihuan approached, he stepped forward and gently helped her put on her cloak's hood. When he lowered his head, he saw the box in Jiang Peihuan's hand. Did the old madam give this to you? Yes, grandmother said it's my dowry money. Old madam loves you very much. Yes, grandmother has always been very loving towards me. As they spoke, the two began to walk towards the plum garden. Close to the entrance, Xiao Nani suddenly turned to Jiang Peihuan and asked, Huan heir, do you have any preferences regarding our future residence in the palace? Hearing this, confusion flashed in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. Noticing her expression, Xiao Nani softly said, After our grand wedding, you will naturally move into the Cheng mansion. Do you have any specific requests for our future residence? Nothing special, simplicity is best. Jiang Peihuan remembered the opulence she had seen in the Cheng mansion. She wasn't particularly fond of extravagance. Acknowledging her response, Xiao Nani nodded. As they reached the entrance of the plum garden, Jiang Peihuan said, It's getting colder as night deepens. You should head back earlier. All right. Rest well, and I'll come to see you tomorrow. After seeing her nod, Xiao Nani turned and left, climbing over the wall just as before. Watching his retreating figure, a slight smile appeared on Jiang Peihuan's face. Eldest miss, the coals in the room have been lit. Are you ready to rest? Upon entering the room, Jiang Peihuan heard Yu Er's voice. Setting the box on the table, a white figure darted towards Jiang Peihuan. It was Xiao Bai. Petting Xiao Bai, she turned to Yu Er. It's getting late. You should rest. One don't need you to attend to me now. Yes, eldest Mississippi. Please rest well. After Yu Er left, Jiang Peihuan got ready for bed. Instead of lying down immediately, she picked up a book by her bedside. Meanwhile, having returned to the Cheng mansion, Xiao Nani didn't go to his room but entered his study. After sitting down on the chair, Xiao Nani started to draw something on the white paper. Han Feng, seeing the drawing in Xiao Nani's hands, was puzzled. After an unknown period of time, just as Han Feng was leaning against the wall and about to fall asleep, he heard Xiao Nani's voice. Go find a carpenter. Master, why do you need a carpenter? Hearing Xiao Nani's voice, Han Feng instantly woke up. Xiao Nani didn't say anything. Instead, he handed the blueprint to Han Feng. Let the carpenter build the house in the backyard according to the blueprint. When he took the blueprint from Xiao Nani, Han Feng subconsciously lowered his head. However, Han Feng's eyes were filled with surprise when he saw the drawings on the blueprint. Wasn't this the eldest Miss Plum Garden? Looking at Xiao Nani, Han Feng could not help but ask, Master, are you going to build another plum garden in the backyard of the Cheng mansion? Yes. Master, with you like this, young miss wouldn't think that she has always been living in the plum garden, right? What are you talking about? Hurry up and find a carpenter. All right, 111 go now. After saying that, Han Feng left. The next day, upon waking up, Xiao Nani planned to visit the general's mansion. However, just as he was about to leave, a young palace eunuch informed him that Emperor Qi Ming wished to see him. Frowning slightly, Xiao Nani still followed the eunuch to the palace. Qianqing Palace. Your Majesty, King Qing has arrived. Chapter 216. Discussion of important matters. Emperor Qi Ming was reading the memorial. Wang Kuan was standing beside him. When he saw Xiao Nanya's slender figure appear at the door, Wang Kuan quickly said. Upon hearing the voice, Emperor Qi Ming put down the brush in his hand and looked up at Xiao Nani. Walking up, Xiao Nanyi casually bowed to Emperor Qi Ming before taking a seat in a chair nearby. Then he looked at Emperor Qi Ming and said, Imperial brother, why did you call me into the palace? Why? Can't I seek your company for no reason? A hint of anger flashed in Emperor Qi Ming's eyes as he said, looking at Xiao Nani with evident irritation. Tell me, how long has it been since you last visited me in the palace? I've been rather busy recently, Xiao Nani replied. Busy? Busy with what? Imperial brother, have you forgotten that in a month, your younger brother is going to get married? Upon hearing this, Emperor Qi Ming said nothing further. After a moment of silence, he looked at Xiao Nani and said, I called you here today because I have something to discuss with you. Please speak, Imperial brother. Look at this. As he spoke, Emperor Qi Ming passed a memorial to Wang Kuan, who quickly took it and placed it before Xiao Nani. Xiao Nani took the memorial from Wang Kuan and opened it. After glancing over the contents, he frowned. So, the tribes from the grasslands wished to marry the princess as a peace alliance? According to the words of the northern border, that's what it means. Emperor Qi Ming replied, I've heard that they're sending their first prince for the marriage alliance. Given the distance, he will arrive in Qi Kingdom in no more than 3 days. As Emperor Qi Ming spoke, Xiao Nani listened quietly. When the emperor finished, Xiao Nani said, You seem reluctant about this marital alliance, Imperial brother. Princesses from our Qi Kingdom who have married into the northern border in the past haven't lived long lives. From our founding emperor to the previous one, more than 10 princesses have been married off to the northern border. Now only the 9th and 11th princesses remain. I am loath to part with either. The 9th princess was the legitimate daughter of the empress and her only child. The 11th princess was born of the noble concubine, and is the sister of prince, and the weather in the northern border is cold. It's indeed not suitable for the women of Qi Kingdom to live. Nani, help me think of a way to prevent the 9th princess and the 11th princess from marrying into the northern border. Hearing Emperor Qi Ming's words, Xiao Nani fell silent. A moment later, he directly looked at Emperor Qi Ming and said, Imperial brother, if you're reluctant about this alliance, simply decline the marriage proposal. I would like to directly refuse, but am worried that this will cause the northern border to harbor resentment. If the northern border dares to have rebellious thoughts, if the northern border dares to rebel, I am willing to lead troops to conquer it on your behalf. After all, Qi Kingdom is a vast empire. Why should we fear a minor kingdom like the northern border? While Xiao Nanye's tone was mild, his words reassured Emperor Qi Ming. After considering, the emperor said, In that case, when the first prince of the northern border arrives, you will help me personally greet him. I won't have the time. Please find someone else, Imperial brother. Facing Emperor Qi Ming's dissatisfied gaze, Xiao Nani said calmly, Now the princes are all grown up. It's time for you to give them some tasks. In the end, aren't you just wanting to be with your fiancé who hasn't formally married into the family? Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. If Imperial brother understands, then don't bother me. Xiao Nani very openly admitted his intentions, which prompted Qi Ming Emperor to throw the seal from the table at him, shouting, Get out! Looking at the seal on the floor, Xiao Nani calmly stood up and headed towards the door. But as he reached the door, he paused. Turning around, he smiled at Emperor Qi Ming and said, Imperial brother, since the first prince from the northern border has come to our kingdom to propose marriage, he must have brought many treasures, hasn't he? What? Are you planning to empty my private treasury? I am about to get married, and there are many places in the mansion that need decoration. When the first prince arrives, he'll come and ask for rewards. With that, Xiao Nani left the hall. Qi Ming Emperor watched his retreating figure, chuckling to himself. That boy, always eyeing the treasures in my possession. It shows the good bond between His Highness and Your Majesty. Wang Kuan, who was standing beside, quickly added. By the time Xiao Nani left the palace, it was already afternoon. As he reached the palace gate, Han Feng greeted him. Master, the carpenters have already arrived at the mansion. Do you want to oversee their work? After all, it's where the eldest miss will stay in the future. Hearing this, Xiao Nani nodded. Over the next few days, he kept a close eye on the carpentry work in his mansion. On the fourth day, Yi Xiao came to the Cheng mansion. It turned out that the Xue family had arrived in the capital ahead of schedule. Considering what Xiao Nani had previously mentioned, Jiang Peihuan sent Yi Xiao to check if he was available. An hour later, Xiao Nani arrived at the general's mansion on Jue Yun. All of Jiang's immediate family was there. Seeing him arrive, Shui Yan softly laughed. Why has your highness come? I heard that old Madame Xue has also come to the capital, so I naturally should go and welcome her. Hearing this, the smile in Shui Yan's eyes deepened, as she realized everything Xiao Nani was doing was because he cared for Jiang Peihuan. Once everyone was ready, they headed out of the city. Inside the carriage sat Shui Yan and Jiang Peihuan. Jiang Hong led the way on horseback, followed by others. Jiang Xijin chose not to take the carriage. Seeing this, Shui Yan didn't insist. So at that moment, Jiang Xijin rode beside Xiao Nani. Brother-in-law, thank you for coming today. Ever since Xiao Nani secretly gifted her some rare weapons, Jiang Xijin had been calling him brother-in-law. Jiang Peihuan corrected her a few times, but seeing Jiang Xijin continue, she let it be. Now hearing Jiang Xijin's address, a smile appeared in Xiao Nani's eyes. It's my duty. You don't need to thank me. How have you been in the military camp lately? Currently, Jiang Xijin, though dressed in a traditional dress, had her hair tied up with a red band. Her dress gave her a warrior's aura. However, Xiao Nani's expression was very gentle when he saw Jiang Xijin like this. Hearing his question, she proudly replied, I have achieved much recognition lately. I haven't let my parents down. Seeing her proud smile, Xiao Nani also smiled. In a while I'll send you some. Chapter 217. Someone from the northern border. Upon hearing those words, Jiang Xijin's eyes lit up. She bowed slightly to Xiao Nani and whispered, Thank you, brother-in-law. When Jiang Peihuan lifted the curtains, she saw Xiao Nani and Jiang Xijin secretly talking. Witnessing this scene, she silently smiled. As Jiang Peihuan unveiled the curtain, Xiao Nani approached her. The man sat atop Zhu Yun's back, but bent over to ask Jiang Peihuan, Is there a matter? Seeing the concern in the man's eyes, Jiang Peihuan shook her head. I just wanted to check the weather outside. There won't be much snow today, don't worry. One sat inside the carriage, the other on a horse, yet they spoke softly. Shui Yan, sitting on the other side, watched this scene with a smile. Of her 3 children, Shui Yan felt most guilty about Jiang Peihuan. Now seeing Xiao Nani care so much for Jiang Peihuan, Shui Yan felt very grateful. Mother, one see maternal grandmother and the others. At that moment, Jiang Xijin's voice reached Shui Yan's ears. Hearing the sound, Shui Yan immediately lifted the curtain. The Xue family's convoy was not far away. Su Yunyang supported old Madame Xue as she alighted from the carriage. She looked at the crowd in the distance and chuckled softly. Mother, look, it's the younger sister and her husband. Mother. By now, Shui Yan had already stepped forward. Jiang Peihuan and the others quickly followed. Arriving in front of old Madame Xue, Shui Yan immediately knelt. Mother, please forgive my unfilial behavior. Looking at Shui Yan kneeling before her, old Madame Xue's eyes reddened instantly. She reached out and helped Shui Yan up. What nonsense are you talking about? Get up quickly. Grandmother, aunt. Once Shui Yan stood up, Jiang Changbai led his 2 younger sisters forward to pay their respects. Seeing her grandson and little niece, old Madame Xue's eyes were full of smiles. Changbai and Xijin have grown so much. Mother-in-law, thank you for your hard work on this journey. Seeing that old Madame Xue was holding Jiang Shangbai's hand and not letting go, Jiang Hong stepped forward and spoke softly. When old Madame Shui heard this, she waved her hand nonchalantly. It's just sitting in the carriage. It wasn't hard. As she spoke, old Madame Shui suddenly saw Xiao Nani, who was standing beside Jiang Peihuan. She quickly went forward, but just as she was about to bow, Xiao Nani held her up. Old Madame Shui, I came here today to pay my respects. Please don't treat me as an outsider. All right, since your highness says so. Then this old one will be arrogant for a while. Yan Er, help mother-in-law into the carriage first. Let's return to the mansion early. It's too cold outside. Mother, please get in the carriage. We can talk more once we're home. All right, let's discuss it later. At this moment, the children of the Shui family also came forward to pay their respects. Apart from brothers Shui Tao and Shui Hai, nearly all of the Shui family's masters were present. Among the younger generation, Shui Ji and Shui Ru were present. A large group proceeded to the general's mansion. Jiang Peihuan didn't know that shortly after their departure, a group of strangers also arrived. Big brother, we've reached Qi Kingdom, but why hasn't anyone come to greet us? The luxurious carriage curtain was lifted, revealing a girl dressed in minority attire. She was beautiful, yet her expression had a touch of sharpness. Beside the carriage was a tall man on a horse, Hachi, the first prince of the northern border. Hearing the young girl's words in the carriage, Hachi said in a soft voice, Our northern grassland tribe is a small country. I think the Qi Kingdom is waiting for us to take the initiative to pay our respects. Who said that our tribe is from a small country? Zhuoma, you'd better remember your purpose for coming here. So control your temper. Before Zhuoma could finish her words, Hachi interrupted her coldly. Hearing Hakai's words, Zhuoma's eyes were filled with unwillingness, but she didn't dare to say anything. Although she was also a princess of the northern tribe, her father had dozens of princesses. If it weren't for her beauty, she wouldn't have come. After all, her birth mother was just a singer with no status in the northern border. First prince, it seems like someone is coming this way. Upon hearing this, Hachi looked into the distance. Zhuoma, who was inside the carriage, also lifted the curtain. Seeing the approaching men, Zhuoma's eyes revealed a hint of amazement. The men from the Qi Kingdom indeed appeared more handsome than those on the grassland. At this moment, Xiao Juanhao had already brought Zhao Yong to Hachi. Xiao Juanhao, having received an unexpected decree from the emperor, had been assigned to welcome the first prince of the northern grassland tribe alongside the newly appointed prince of Huainan. Hence, their delayed arrival. Seeing Hachi, Xiao Juanhao dismounted with a smile. My apologies, first prince. I was held up by pressing matters in the palace, so I came late. Recognizing the individuals before him based on a whisper from his attendant, Hachi gave a slight smile and promptly greeted them. It's an honor to meet Prince Qing and the Prince Huainan. Just then, the curtain of the carriage was lifted again. Zhuoma got off the carriage and looked at the two men standing in front of her. She laughed softly and said, Zhuoma greets the Prince Qing and the Prince Huainan. The decree had only mentioned receiving the first prince, so Xiao Juanhao was somewhat puzzled upon seeing Zhuoma. He turned to Hachi and inquired, First prince, who might this be? This is my sister, Zhuoma. So it's Princess Zhuoma. While Xiao Juanhao and Hachi were talking, Zhuoma's gaze was constantly sizing up Xiao Juanhao and Zhao Yong. In the end, her gaze fell on Xiao Juanhao. Did Prince Qing come specifically to greet us? Yes. Although Zhuoma's gaze was subtle, for someone like Xiao Juanhao, raised in the depths of the palace, such a look was nothing more than a child's trick. Zhuoma's prying made Xiao Juanhao somewhat uncomfortable, though he showed no external sign of it. Seeing that Zhuoma might say something further, he promptly addressed Hachi. First prince, it's getting late. We should head to the inn. Of course, we appreciate your guidance, Prince Qing. No need for formalities, first prince. As they prepared to remount their horses, Hachi cast a warning glance at Zhuoma. She withdrew her gaze, but as she closed the curtain of her carriage, her eyes were filled with scheming darkness. If she could stay in the Qi Kingdom, she would no longer have to face the attitude of those grassland tribes. Back at the general's mansion, Shui Yan and Jiang Hong brought old Madame Shui to old Madame Jiang's chrysanthemum hall. Members from the second and third households of the Jiang family were already present. Elder sister, I'm so glad you're here. When old Madame Jiang saw old Madame Shui, she hurried forward with a smile in her eyes. It's been too long. Chapter 218. Shuiru stays in Jiang Mansion. Older sister, why the formality? We are all family, no need for polite words. At this moment, people from the second and third households of the Jiang family came to greet. The old Madame Shui distributed the gifts for the occasion. After the greetings, old Madame Jiang said to old Madame Shui, Elder sister, you should stay in the mansion during this time. It'll save the trouble of tidying up, and we can chat. It's not much of a bother. I had someone clean our residence in the city when I arrived. Old Madame Shui replied with a soft chuckle. Hearing old Madame Jiang's words, old Madame Shui laughed softly. The Shui family has a residence in the capital, but no one had lived there for many years. However, no matter how old Madame Jiang tried to persuade her to stay, old Madame Shui insisted on staying in her own residence. Seeing that she insisted, old Madame Jiang did not say anything more. Instead, he looked at Shui Yan and said, Yan send your mother over with Hong later. See if there's anything that's missing and help to get everything ready. Yes, mother. After dinner, old Madame Shui took her leave. Jiang Hong and his wife escorted the Shui family members back. However, after leaving the Chrysanthemum Hall, Shuiru suddenly said, Grandmother, one don't have anyone to talk to when we return to our residence. Why don't you let me stay in Aunt's residence? As she spoke, Shuiru's gaze swept across Jiang Changbai from time to time. Shuiru also saw Xiao Nani, but after what happened in Qingzhou, she no longer dared to think about Xiao Nani. She didn't even dare to make a sound in front of Xiao Nani. Jiang Peihuan remained silent, but thinking about the incident in Qingzhou and Shuiru's current demeanor, she couldn't help frown. But looking at old Madame Shui and her mother, she still didn't say anything. If you need company, just come over in a carriage. It's better not to disturb your aunt. Old Madame Shui replied coldly to Shuiru. Before Wang Fingyi could say something, she closed her mouth upon seeing the chill in old Madame Shui's eyes. Grandmother, one genuinely wished to stay here. Aunt hasn't seen family for many years. I can keep her company, Shuiru pleaded, her eyes admiring the luxurious surroundings of the general's mansion. Seeing the mansion's splendor even at night, it was far grander than the Shui residence. When old Madame Shui heard this, anger appeared in her eyes. However, when Shui Yan heard this, she immediately said, Mother, if Ru likes it here, let her stay. Huan and Si Jin are also here. The girls can keep each other company. Yes, mother-in-law, Jiang Hong added. Hearing Jiang Hong and his wife's words, old Madame Shui didn't object anymore. Instead, she warned Shuiru, since you are staying, don't cause trouble for your aunt. Rest assured, grandmother. Seeing that old Madame Shui had agreed, Shuiru's eyes were filled with smiles. Old Madame Shui's eyes were filled with displeased. She hadn't initially intended to bring Shuiru, but the girl had secretly hidden in the carriage. By the time they discovered her, it was too late to send her back. Yet, this was not something she could share with the Jiang family. Huan take care of Ru Shui Yan instructed. Don't worry, mother, Jiang Peihuan replied. Hearing Shui Yan's words, Jian Peihuan replied softly. Subsequently, Shui Yan and Jiang Hong escorted old Madame Shui out. After old Madame Shui left, Shuiru immediately approached Jiang Changbua. Cousin Changbua, what's fun in the capital? As she spoke, Shuiru's hand directly hugged Jiang Shangbai's arm. Jiang Changbai was stunned. After a few seconds, he pulled his hand away. When she tried to approach again, he stepped back and said softly, If you want to know fun places, ask Huan or Si Jin. Huan am a bit tired. Oh, go rest first. After saying this, Jiang Changbai immediately ran away. Watching his departing figure, Shuiru's eyebrows furrowed slightly, while a chill seemed to pass through Jiang Peihuan's eyes. However, when she turned to look at Shuiru, Jiang Peihuan still smiled, saying, Cousin Ru, shall I show you to your courtyard? There's no hurry. Let me go with you to take a look at your courtyard first. Jiang Peihuan wanted to refuse subconsciously, but for some reason, she nodded in agreement. Standing to the side, Jiang Sijin observed the scene. She felt something was off but couldn't pinpoint what it was. Sijin, it's getting late. Go back to your courtyard and rest. Yes, elder sister. Jiang Sijin initially wanted to get closer to Shuiru, but for some reason, she didn't like this cousin very much. This feeling was even stronger than her dislike for her second sister. After Jiang Sijin left, Jiang Peihuan took Shuiru to her own plum garden. Along the way, Shuiru carefully observed the plum garden. Seeing the scenery along the way, Shuiru's eyes were filled with jealousy. Back in Qingzhou, her garden was considered exceptional among those of young ladies. But now, after seeing Jiang Peihuan's plum garden, she understood the true meaning of opulence. Cousin Peihuan, you don't need to find another courtyard for me. I'll just stay in yours. Huan Air. Before Shuiru could finish, a deep voice interrupted her. She turned to see Xiao Nani sitting in the courtyard. Upon seeing him, Shuiru's face changed immediately. Jiang Peihuan glanced at the man, then turned back to Shuiru. Cousin Ru, what were you saying? I was saying that any nearby courtyard will do. No need to go out of your way. All right, 111, have you air lead you there? Young miss, let me show you. Although Yu Air did not know what had happened, she knew Jiang Peihuan's temperament very well. Just by listening to Jiang Peihuan's tone, she knew that her eldest miss did not like this cousin. After Yu Air escorted Shuiru away, Jiang Peihuan went to the man's side. Because of the snow, the pavilion had been sealed with cloth, but it was still a little cold. Looking at the man sitting on the bench, Jiang Peihuan smiled gently. Didn't you say you'd go back to the mansion first? Why are you sitting here? Why is she in the general's mansion? Didn't the old Madame Shui go to the Shui's residence in the capital? Mentioning Shuiru, a hint of annoyance flashed in Xiao Nanya's eyes. Jiang Peihuan took a seat opposite him and softly said, she wanted to stay, so I let her. It saves my mother from the dilemma. As she spoke, Xiao Nani poured her a cup of hot water. Placing it beside her, he whispered, it's late, and it's cold. Drink some hot water. Jiang Peihuan wasn't thirsty, but she picked up the cup after hearing his words. As she drank, a silver hairpin suddenly appeared in his hand. What is this? Chapter 219. Shuiru's thoughts. The silver hairpin in the man's hand was of a very simple design, but just from its material, Jiang Peihuan felt it was extraordinary. Indeed, right in front of Jiang Peihuan, the man pulled at the top of the hairpin, revealing a hidden small dagger in front of her. Looking at her ring, and then at the hairpin in the man's hand, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but laugh. Are you trying to turn all my jewelry into hidden weapons? Jiang Peihuan said it offhandedly, but when Xiao Nani heard it, he nodded seriously. With these things by your side, I feel more at ease. While speaking, Xiao Nani gently inserted the silver hairpin into Jiang Peihuan's hair. Without a mirror, Jiang Peihuan couldn't see the hairpin. She looked up at the man in front of her. Does it look good? Yes. Hearing her words, the man nodded. The sound of snowflakes falling could be heard, and as Jiang Peihuan watched the heavy snow outside the pavilion, she showed a hint of worry, wondering if Shui Yan and Jiang Hong had returned yet. But as Xiao Nani watched the ever-growing snowflakes, he turned to Jiang Peihuan and said, the snow is getting heavier. You should go back to your room. I'll head home. All right. Seeing Jiang Peihuan nod, the man then turned and left the pavilion. Watching Jiang Peihuan enter her room, the man left the plum garden. Back in her room, Jiang Peihuan wasn't sleepy. The Shui family's house was a distance from the general's mansion, and she was somewhat worried about Shui Yan and Jiang Hong. Eldest miss, are you worried about the general and madam? Seeing Jiang Peihuan constantly looking outside, Yu Air approached and said softly. Hearing her, Jiang Peihuan nodded. Then, she picked up a hand warmer from the side. Accompany me to my older brother's courtyard. Let's go to the entrance to meet my father and mother. Yes. Xiaobai, don't mess around. When Yu Air opened the door, Xiaobai, who was beside the bed, ran directly to Jiang Peihuan's feet. Seeing it constantly tugging at Jiang Peihuan's skirt, Yu Air gently scolded, but Xiaobai wasn't afraid of her and acted as if he didn't hear. Watching this, a smile appeared in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. Handing the hand warmer to Yu Air, Jiang Peihuan bent down to pick up Xiaobai. Looking at the little creature in her arms, she whispered, "Do you want to go out with me?" Xiaobai couldn't speak, but at the sound of Jiang Peihuan's voice, it licked her hand. Feeling the wet touch on her fingertips, Jiang Peihuan's expression became even gentler. She stretched out her hand, gently patting Xiaobai's head, and then carrying it outside. "Since you're not afraid of the cold, 111 take you with me." "You little fellow, you seem to have gained weight these few days." How could he not? Chapter 220. Shuiru was bitten. Seeing the relieved look on Jiang Shangbai's face, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but feel both amused and exasperated. "Elder brother, you've noticed that cousin Ru Hui has ulterior motives for you, haven't you?" Jiang Changbai didn't speak, but nodded in agreement. Despite having spent most of his time in the military camp, he was still a gentleman of a renowned family, and he was well aware of such schemes. Seeing his nod, Jiang Peihuan said, "Elder brother, if you don't want any entanglements with cousin Ru in the future, merely avoiding her won't suffice. You must outright reject her. But she is a guest in our home. Moreover, our mother hasn't seen our maternal grandmother in years. If I'm too direct, one fear one might put our mother in a difficult position. You are our mother's own son. Do you really think she would sideline you in favor of a niece? Besides, have you forgotten about Xian heir?" Upon hearing Lu Xin's name, Jiang Shangbai's expression became serious. Turning to Jiang Peihuan, he said, "Huan heir, you are right." The siblings soon left the general's mansion. Just as they reached the gate, they saw Jiang Hong's carriage arriving. As Jiang Hong helped Shui Yin out of the carriage, they spotted Jiang Changbai and Jiang Peihuan. Seeing them, Shui Yin said with a smile, "Where are you two going at this late hour?" "Of course we came to pick you up," Jiang Peihuan responded, approaching to assist Shui Yin. Observing her cheerful demeanor, she deduced that the arrival of old Madame Shui had brought much joy to Shui Yin. For that reason alone, Jiang Peihuan felt she could tolerate the presence of Shuiru. "Mother, has everything been arranged for maternal grandmother?" Jiang Peihuan asked softly as she helped Shui Yin inside. Shui Yin, seeing the concern in her eyes, smiled and nodded. "Before coming to the capital, your maternal grandmother had already sent someone to clean the residence. Everything is ready." "That's good to hear. You don't need to accompany us further. It's too cold. Go back to your courtyard." When they reached a fork in the path, Shui Yin lightly patted Jiang Peihuan's hand and whispered with a smile. Jiang Peihuan didn't insist on continuing, especially since Jiang Hong was by Shui Yan's side. Instead, Jiang Hong said to his son, "Escort your sister back to her courtyard. Make sure she doesn't trip." "Yes," Jiang Changbai replied, bowing to his parents. He then turned to Jiang Peihuan, "Let's go. 111 escort you back." "Father, mother, please rest early." "Yes, go ahead." After bowing to them, Jiang Peihuan turned to leave. But suddenly, the little wolf cub named Xiaobai in her arms darted out. However, when Jian Peihuan turned around, Xiaobai, who was in her arms, suddenly dashed out. Seeing Xiaobai's abrupt move startled Jiang Peihuan. "Xiaobai, come back." Regardless of Jiang Peihuan's calls, Xiaobai dashed towards the bushes, followed by the terrified scream of Shuiru. "Get away! Get off of me! Ru heir!" Shui Yan, hearing the screams, rushed towards the bushes, with Jiang Peihuan and Jiang Changbai quickly following. When Jiang Peihuan walked over, she saw Xiaobai biting Shuiru's calf tightly. Although Xiaobai was only a wolf cub, it already grew teeth. In addition, Lu Er had been feeding it bones all this time, so Xiaobai's teeth were quite sharp. Seeing this, Shuiru's eyes filled with agony. "Xiaobai, come back!" Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Xiaobai loosened its teeth and ran to her side. Jiang Peihuan quickly picked up the wolf cub. "Auntie, my leg hurts." Shui Yin was confused by the situation in front of her, but when she heard Shuiru scream, she quickly shouted, "Quick, call the doctor." Subsequently, Shui Yin turned to Jiang Changbai and said, "Changbai, quickly carry Ru Er back." Upon hearing Shui Yan's words, Jiang Shangbai's face stiffened. However, seeing this, a hint of a smile appeared in Shuiru's eyes. But that smile on Shui Ru's face quickly froze as Jiang Peihuan stepped forward, blocking Jiang Changbai. She then said to Shui Yan, "Mother, considering the distinction between men and women, it's best if elder brother doesn't do it. I will carry cousin instead." Saying that, Jiang Peihuan handed Xiao Bai over to Jiang Changbai. Without waiting for Shui Ru to respond, Jiang Peihuan bent down and hoisted Shui Ru horizontally off the ground. Having practiced martial arts since childhood, carrying Shui Ru was nothing to Jiang Peihuan. However, being lifted by Jiang Peihuan, Shui Ru's eyes darkened with displeasure. By the time Jiang Peihuan carried Shui Ru back to her courtyard, the doctor had already arrived. After examining Shui Ru, the doctor reassured Shui Yan, "Madam, don't worry. The young lattice leg injury is not severe. A few doses of medicine will see her well." "Thank you, doctor." "You're too polite, madam." Upon hearing the doctor's reassurance, Shui Yan sighed in relief. At this moment, Shui Ru, with a sullen look, glared at Xiao Bai in Jiang Peihuan's arms. "Aunt, this dog even bites people. Why not just kill it?" "Cousin Ru, if you weren't lurking suspiciously behind the bush, Xiao Bai wouldn't have bitten you. How could you just suggest killing Xiao Bai?" Before Shui Yan could speak, Jiang Changbai, standing next to Jiang Peihuan, coldly retorted. Hearing this, tears welled up in Shui Ru's eyes. She turned to Shui Yan. "Aunt, I was just so scared. Today it bit me, but what if it bites grandmother or you in the future?" Hearing this, Shui Yan's eyes were a little conflicted. When Jiang Peihuan heard this, her eyes looked colder than ever. Gently petting Xiao Bai's head, Jiang Peihuan spoke directly when Shui Ru looked at her. "Cousin Ru, if Xiao Bai was just an ordinary dog and it bit you, it would be reasonable to kill it. However, Xiao Bai was a gift from King Cheng. Therefore, I can't just kill him. Also, Xiao Bai isn't a dog, it's a wolf. So, to prevent any further harm to you, Cousin Ru, it's best you keep your distance from my courtyard for a few days." "What? It's a wolf? And you're keeping it as a pet?" Shui Ru pointed at Xiao Bai and Jiang Peihuan's hands, her eyes wide with fear. At that moment, Xiao Bai snarled at Shui Ru. Seeing this, Shui Ru quickly withdrew her hand. Suddenly, Shui Yan felt that her son and daughter didn't seem to like their cousin very much. But since they are her children, she wouldn't let them be wronged for the sake of her niece. So after hearing Shui Ru's words, Shui Yan directly said to Jiang Peihuan, "Huan Er, it's late. You should go rest. Changbai, escort Huan Er back. Watch your step and ensure she doesn't trip." Chapter 221 Gifts. Yes, mother. Jiang Changbai had been eager to leave for a while. Hearing Shui Yan's words, he nodded promptly. After paying his respects to Shui Yan, he quickly said to Jiang Peihuan, "Huan Er, let's go." Jiang Peihuan bowed to Shui Yan, and then followed Jiang Changbai out. Once outside, Jiang Changbai couldn't help but ask Jiang Peihuan, "Cousin Ji and Achi both have good personalities. Why is this Cousin Ru so different?" "Don't say any more. If mother heard it, wouldn't it make things difficult for her?" Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Jiang Changbai remained silent. By the time Jiang Peihuan returned to the plum garden, it was already deep into the night. She laid down on her bed, and Xiao Bai crawled into her blanket. Looking at Xiao Bai, who's only showing its head, Jiang Peihuan playfully tapped its little head. "You can't just bite people randomly." Xiao Bai thought that Jiang Peihuan was playing with it. Looking at her outstretched finger, it stuck out its tongue and licked it. "Eldest miss, it's already very late. You should go to sleep." Yu Er moved the charcoal fire to the side, then looked at Jiang Peihuan on the bed and said, "I know you should go to sleep too." "Yes." After the lamp went out, Jiang Peihuan closed her eyes. In the past, during winters, her hands and feet would always feel cold. After reincarnating, not only did she intensify her training, but she also began to take care of her health. Now she wasn't as cold as before. Winters made everyone feel more sleepy, and Jiang Peihuan was no exception. As she sat up, she saw Yu Er coming in with hot water. Seeing Jiang Peihuan sitting up, Yu Er said with a smile, "Eldest miss, you finally woke up. The old madam sent people to ask about you several times." "Really?" After freshening up, I'll visit grandmother in the chrysanthemum hall. Jiang Peihuan wasn't into dressing up much. So, after a quick wash, she headed straight to chrysanthemum hall. Before reaching the door, she heard laughter inside. Old madam, this is a token of my appreciation. One hope you won't find it too modest. The person who spoke was Lu Xian. Ever since Lu Xian saved the old madam last time, the old madam's attitude towards her had changed a lot. Every time Lu Xian came to visit Lucio, the old madam would also call her to the chrysanthemum hall for a chat. When Jiang Peihuan entered, she saw the old madam holding a forehead ornament, which was elegant and delicately embroidered. Seeing the ornament in old madam's hand, Jiang Peihuan said with a soft laugh, "Grandmother, this new ornament suits you very well. This was made by Xian heir. It's a token of her affection." Previously, the old madam looked down on the Lu family for being merchants and didn't want much contact with Lu Xian. However, after getting to know her, she found Lu Xian very considerate. Given the wealth of the Lu family, Lu Xian could have easily gifted expensive items. But instead, everything she prepared for the old madam was handmade by her, making it even more precious. Xian heir is very skillful. You flatter me, Sister Jiang. One can only make simple things. Seeing Jiang Peihuan come in, Lu Xian stood up and bowed to her. The old madam handed the item in her hand to Nanny Su. After that, she waved at Jiang Peihuan, touched her fingertips, and seeing that Jiang Peihuan's palms were warm, the old madam whispered, "A deer was delivered from the villa yesterday. Deer meat tastes best when fresh. Since you're awake, 111 have someone roast the deer meat later. You should eat more." "Okay." Hearing the old madam's words, Jiang Peihuan nodded with a smile. "Grandmother, you really are biased. When there's something delicious, you only think of Huan heir and not your grandson." The curtain of the main room was directly lifted, and Jiang Changbai, dressed in a dark blue padded jacket, came to the old madam. Trailing behind him, drenched in sweat, was Jiang Xijin. Upon entering, Jiang Shangbai's gaze instinctively fell on Lu Xian. Though Jiang Changbai quickly averted his eyes, the old madam still noticed. If it had been in the past, she would have disapproved, but after spending time with Lu Xian, the old madam no longer opposed the idea. Through her lifetime, the old madam has come to realize that Lu Xin's character is impeccable. "Grandmother, it's been a while since you've seen me. Have you missed me?" Jiang Xijin ran to the old madam and held her hand. Seeing her behavior, the old madam used her handkerchief to wipe the sweat from Jiang Xijin's forehead, chuckling, "You're a young lady, yet you behave like a monkey every day. In grandmother's heart, only my elder sister is the best. You cheeky monkey." The old madam tapped Jiang Xijin's forehead lightly and continued to laugh. "Old madam, people from King Cheng's mansion have sent gifts. What did King Cheng send this time?" The old madam seems accustomed to Cheng mansion frequently sending gifts. A moment later, Han Feng led his men into the chrysanthemum hall. Behind him was a little deer that was still bleeding. After bowing to old Madam Jiang, Han Feng smiled and said, "Old madam, this deer was personally hunted by the prince. He said he wanted you to taste something fresh. His Highness is very thoughtful." Hearing Han Feng's words, the old madam's face was full of smiles. She glanced at Nanny Su, who immediately went forward and handed Han Feng a pouch. "Thank you for your reward, old madam." Accepting the pouch from Nanny Su, Han Feng expressed his gratitude. "You're a favorite of His Highness, so I won't delay you any further. Eldest Miss, Master has also sent something for you. He said that he wanted to give it to you personally." Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan looked at old Madam Jiang. "Grandmother, I'll go over for a while. Go ahead." After bowing to the old madam, Jiang Peihuan went outside. Seeing Han Feng following behind her, Jiang Peihuan asked softly, "Where's your master?" It seemed she had grown accustomed to Xiao Nani appearing before her daily. Suddenly not seeing him felt a bit unfamiliar. Hearing her question, Han Feng softly replied, "The master is in the imperial palace." "Did the emperor summon him for something?" "Not really. It's the first prince and princess Zhuoma of the northern grassland tribes who have entered the palace. The emperor wants to hold a banquet to entertain them, and is discussing this matter with the master. The first prince of the northern border. Is it Ha Chi? Hearing Han Feng's words, surprise flashed in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. Seeing Jiang Peihuan mention Ha Kai's name, astonishment appeared in Han Feng's eyes too. He nodded. Yes, it's Prince Ha Chi. How did you know? Chapter 222. Give it all to him. It was due to Ha Kai's proposal in her past life that Jiang Peihuan came to know about Ha Chi in her previous life. Ha Chi wanted to marry the princess of the Qi kingdom. However, Emperor Qi Ming was reluctant to part with his beloved 9th and 11th princesses. Yet Ha Chi was adamant about the marriage, bringing countless treasures as dowry. Because of these treasures, Emperor Qi Ming eventually agreed to Ha Kai's request, but instead of choosing from the 2 princesses, he selected from among the daughters of the courtiers. In her previous life, Ha Chi had taken a fancy at her at first glance. However, Xiao Juanhao would never let her be married off to the distant northern borders. Instead, he shifted his attention to Jiang Xijin. Though in the end, Ha Chi dismissed Jiang Xijin due to her young age, she was still forcibly taken to his chamber in her previous life. Because of this, Jiang Xijin bore a reputation that haunted her. In this life, Jiang Peihuan was determined not to let such an event happen again. Eldest Miss. Hearing Han Feng's voice, Jiang Peihuan was jolted back to reality. Looking at him, she said softly, I heard about it by chance. Han Feng, hearing this response, was full of confusion. But Jiang Peihuan quickly changed the subject. What did Xiao Nani send you here for? You'll know when you see it, Han Feng said. As he spoke, he gently clapped his hands, and an attendant stepped forward holding a potted plant. In the pot was a plum blossom. But not just any plum blossom, it was the rare green plum. At this point, the young buds on the green plum were already exquisitely beautiful. Seeing the green plum, a smile appeared in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. You heir, take this green plum back to the plum garden. Yes. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Yu heir smiled and stepped forward. Eldest Miss, I shall take my leave. Do you have any messages for the master? The weather is getting colder. Tell him to take care of himself. Yes. Han Feng bowed respectfully to Jiang Peihuan before leaving the general's mansion. Jiang Peihuan stood quietly outside. Once her emotions settled, she entered the chrysanthemum hall. In the imperial palace. Are you listening to me? Emperor Qi Ming, looking at the report in his hand, was frustrated. He wanted to discuss banquet matters with Xiao Nani. But when he turned his head, he saw Xiao Nani carefully wiping his jade pendant, occasionally sipping tea, a premium tea from his private collection. Qi Ming had called Xiao Nani several times, but he seemed to ignore him. Dropping the report, Qi Ming looked at Xiao Nani with dissatisfaction. Finally, catching the emperor's voice, Xiao Nani replied, which almost made Qi Ming spit blood in anger. This time, Xiao Nani finally heard Emperor Qi Ming's voice, but the words that came out of his mouth made Emperor Qi Ming so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What were you saying, imperial brother? I asked about your opinion on the banquet. Qi Ming's eyes were full of anger, but he still managed to keep calm. Hearing this, Xiao Nani nonchalantly responded, just hold the banquet as usual. After all, it's just a small northern kingdom. Why are you so troubled? Seeing Xiao Nani continuously wiping his jade pendant, Qi Ming commented disdainfully, this jade pendant might be of good quality, but the carving is quite crude. I'll get you 2 better ones later. No, I only want this one. That's odd. Qi Ming looked surprised at Xiao Nani's response. After glancing at the pendant, he said sarcastically, is this jade pendant some kind of treasure? You guessed right, imperial brother. This pendant is indeed a treasure. It was a gift from Huan Heir. Imperial brother, with all your consorts, has any of them carved a jade pendant for you? It seemed that none had. Seeing Xiao Nani's triumphant expression, Qi Ming felt a bit irked. I heard you hunted a deer last night. After all I've given you, why didn't you gift some of the deer meat to me? Next time. The deer I hunted last night was sent to the general's mansion. Look at you. Qi Ming looked exasperated. All right, you may leave. You're making me annoyed. Seeing Xiao Nani still sitting and wiping his pendant, Qiming waved him off irritably. The latter leisurely rose from his chair. As he left, he drained the tea from the table. It seemed he thought of something, and Xiao Nani walked straight to Emperor Qiming's desk. "What are you doing?" Seeing him approach, Emperor Qiming's eyes were full of caution. Meeting Emperor Qiming's guarded gaze, Xiao Nani softly laughed. "Imperial brother, I find this tea quite delightful. I wonder if I could have some." "You can't get out." Before Xiao Nani could finish, Emperor Qiming interrupted him coldly. "All right, if you don't want to give it to me, then don't." Hearing Emperor Qiming's words, Xiao Nani left the Qianqing palace without any hard feelings. However, not long after Xiao Nani left, a young eunuch walked in, holding a black cloak in his hands. Seeing him, Emperor Qiming coldly asked, "What is this?" "Your Majesty, this is the cloak King Cheng sent you." Hearing the eunuch's words, Emperor Qiming paused, and looking at the cloak in the eunuch's hands, he set down the brush he was holding. Wang Kuan, who was at the side, quickly took the cloak from the eunuch. Presenting it to Emperor Qiming, Wang Kuan smiled. "His Highness, King Cheng is very thoughtful. This is made of top-grade ink fox fur." "This brat." Touching the cloak in Wang Kun's hand, Emperor Qiming commented. Seeing the smile in Emperor Qiming's eyes, Wang Kuan softly asked, "Would your Majesty like to try it on?" Let's try it." Wang Kuan dismissed the eunuch and personally helped Emperor Qiming put on the cloak. The size of the cloak was perfect, and Emperor Qiming's eyes shone with happiness. Turning to Wang Kuan, he whispered, "How does it look? It makes your Majesty appear even more majestic." "Didn't that brat just say the tea was good? Check the storeroom to see how much we have left. Give him some." "Never mind, give it all to him. Also see if there are other fine teas, and give those to him as well." Emperor Qiming carefully removed the cloak, then cheerfully addressed Wang Kuan. Hearing Emperor Qiming's words, Wang Kuan quickly responded with a smile. "Your Majesty is truly kind to King Cheng. I've watched him grow up since he was a child. If I don't treat him well, who will? In another month, His Highness King Cheng will be getting married. By then, the consort will surely take good care of him." Miss Jiang's character is indeed commendable. She even knows to carve a jade pendant for Nani personally. However, her craftsmanship is rather lacking. Standing to the side, Wang Kuan heard this but remained silent, only smiling. Chapter 223. Reward. Considering her decent nature, go to the storeroom and find something to reward her. Yes. After bowing to Emperor Qiming, Wang Kuan prepared to leave. However, just as he reached the door, he heard Emperor Qiming's voice from behind. "Wait. Your Majesty, do you have any other instructions?" Hearing the Emperor's voice, Wang Kuan immediately halted and turned to look at him. "After you've selected the items, don't send the young eunuch. Go personally. It can be seen as a gesture of goodwill from me to Xiao Nani." Hearing Emperor Qiming's words, Wang Kun's eyes showed surprise, but he still nodded with a smile. Yes. Xiao Nani did not know anything about this. At that moment, Xiao Nani was heading out of the palace. Zhuoma, who had just entered, instinctively turned her head. Upon seeing Xiao Nani, her eyes were filled with admiration. Who is this man? Zhuoma wanted to chase after him, but Xiao Nani had already left the palace. Watching the man's back as he got into the carriage, Zhuoma looked at the palace maid beside her excitedly. Who is that? Princess, that is His Highness King Cheng. King Cheng? Is he also the Emperor's son? No, His Highness King Cheng is the Emperor's younger brother and the imperial uncle of the princes. Is he married? Hearing Zhuoma's question, the palace maid standing nearby showed surprise but still whispered. King Cheng isn't married yet, but he... Where is the King Cheng mansion? Zhuoma got the answer she wanted and lost interest in the rest. Although unsure of Zhuoma's intentions, the palace maid still provided the address. As Zhuoma left the palace, Wang Kuan went to the general's mansion with the rewards. Jiang Peihuan had just eaten venison in the chrysanthemum hall, and was chatting with the old madam when she heard that the chief eunuch from the emperor's side had arrived. Thinking of past events involving her family, Jiang Paihuan's heart raced. Although many things had changed in this life, she still felt a bit panicked. Deputy General Liu, who was walking beside Jiang Peihuan, sensed her unease and quickly reassured her. "Eldest miss, don't worry." One saw Wang Kuan smiling, and the young eunuchs behind him are carrying many items. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan's eyes revealed some surprise. When Jiang Peihuan arrived at the main hall, all the members of the Jiang family were already there. Even Xue Ru, assisted by a maid, had come out. Wang Kuan was drinking tea. Seeing Jiang Peihuan approach, he immediately set down his cup and said with a smile, "Eldest miss, you've arrived. Prepare to receive the emperor's decree." Jiang Peihuan stepped forward and knelt respectfully. The emperor has ordered that Jiang Peihuan, the eldest daughter of the general's mansion, has a noble personality and good moral character. She is hereby granted special rewards. After speaking, Wang Kuan gestured to the eunuchs behind him to present the rewards to Jiang Peihuan. Jiang Xijin and Jiang Ruyun immediately stepped forward to accept the gifts. When Jiang Peihuan got up, she saw the rewards are mostly jewelry. However, she couldn't understand why Emperor Qi Ming would suddenly reward her. Was it because of the grain transport last time? But so much time had passed since then. Even if the emperor wanted to reward her for that, he wouldn't have waited until now. "Eldest miss, congratulations." At this moment, Wang Kuan approached Jiang Peihuan to offer his congratulations. Seeing him, Jiang Peihuan stepped forward, giving a slight curtsy, then she said with a smile, "Thank you, Chief Eunuch." While speaking, Jiang Peihuan handed a pouch personally to Wang Kuan. The pouch felt light, clearly not containing gold or silver, but probably a banknote. Accepting the pouch, the smile in Wang Kuan's eyes deepened. Looking at Jiang Peihuan, he whispered, "Eldest miss truly is a person of delicate and exquisite character." "Chief Eunuch, you flatter me." Smiling, Jiang Peihuan lowered her voice and said, "Chief Eunuch, there's something I don't understand, and I hope you can enlighten me. I dare not claim such a role, eldest Mississippi. If you have questions, just ask me directly. Why has the emperor suddenly bestowed so many jewels?" Seeing the confusion in Jiang Peihuan's eyes, Wang Kuan's smile remained unchanged. As she looked to him for answers, he whispered back, "For this question, Miss might want to ask King Cheng." "Because of Xiao Nani?" "Thank you, Chief Eunuch." Smiling, Jiang Peihuan gave a small curtsy and said, "I'll see you out, Chief Eunuch." When they reached the entrance of the general's mansion, Wang Kuan smiled and said to Jiang Peihuan, "Eldest miss, it's fine, one can carry on myself from here." "Chief Eunuch, take care." Wang Kuan smiled and nodded before boarding the carriage. Returning to the main hall, Jiang Peihuan heard an exclamation. "These jewels are so beautiful." "Cousin Ru heir, these are imperial gifts. Except for elder sister, ordinary people shouldn't touch them casually." Jiang Xijin saw Xue Ru trying to pin a gold hairpin in her hair, and she immediately took it back. Seeing Jiang Xijin's action, Xue Ru's eyes flashed with displeasure. Spotting Jiang Peihuan entering, she turned to her and said, "Cousin Huan heir, the emperor has given you so many gifts, you probably can't use all these jewels. How about sharing some with us?" Both Jiang Ruyun and Jiang Xijin were shocked by this. Xue Ru was Xue Yan's niece after all, so Jiang Ruyun, the niece of the second branch, couldn't say anything. However, Jiang Xijin spoke directly. "Cousin Ru heir, you know that this is an imperial gift. Don't you know that imperial gifts cannot be given to others? As long as you keep quiet, who will know?" Upon hearing Xue Ru's audacious words, even the normally proud Jiang Xijin was left speechless. Jiang Peihuan's expression darkened at this scene. Yet seemingly thinking of something, Jiang Peihuan smiled at Xue Ru and said, "If Cousin Ru heir likes that gold hairpin, I'll gift it to you. However, it's an imperial gift. If someone finds out, it might bring fatal trouble. So, Cousin Ru, keep it for personal enjoyment and never wear it outside." As she spoke, Jiang Peihuan had already handed the golden hairpin to Xue Ru. Taking it from Jiang Peihuan, excitement filled Xue Ru's eyes. But hearing Jiang Peihuan's warning, her smile faded a bit. Jiang Peihuan didn't look at her any longer and turned to Jiang Xijin and Jiang Ruyun. Both of you, help me take these items to the plum garden. Yes, big sister. Yes, elder sister. On the way, Jiang Xijin managed to hold her tongue. But once they reached the plum garden, she couldn't hold back any longer. Chapter 224. Go find someone else. Looking at Jiang Peihuan, she said with indignation in her eyes, Eldest sister, why did you give the golden hairpin granted to you by the emperor to cousin Ru? Since she asked for it, it wouldn't be right to refuse her completely. No matter what, she's mother's niece. For mother's sake, we can't be too calculative. But one guess she wouldn't dare wear the golden hairpin outside. She can only look at it and not use it. The one who will suffer is her. Hearing the first part of Jiang Peihuan's words, Jiang Xijin had a hint of melancholy in her eyes, but after hearing the last sentence, her eyes were filled with smiles. Looking at Jiang Peihuan, she gave a thumbs up with a smile. Eldest sister, you're the smart one. If you like any of these items, you can take them. Jiang Peihuan didn't particularly care for these jewels and ornaments. Moreover, Xiao Nani had also gifted many to her in the past, which she had simply stored away. After speaking with Jiang Xijin, Jiang Peihuan turned to Jiang Ruyun. You two can choose what you like. In a little over a month, you'll marry into the Chao family. Consider these items as my dowry gift to you. Thank you, elder sister. But these items are imperial gifts. Would it be a problem if the emperor found out? Although she was tempted by the jewelry, Jiang Ruyun still had reservations. Hearing her words, Jiang Peihuan whispered, It's fine. It's not as strict as it was during the previous dynasty. Second sister, don't overthink. If cousin Ru dares to take them, what do we have to worry about? Jiang Xijin used to dislike Jiang Ruyun, but seeing Shui Ru's attitude now, she suddenly felt that Jiang Ruyun was much better. Everything seems worse when compared. Eldest sister, I want this jade pendant. As she spoke, Jiang Xijin had already picked up a pair of jade pendants from the tray. Jiang Peihuan nodded without speaking. Jiang Xijin quickly chose her items, but Jiang Ruyun hesitated over hairpins. In the end, she picked up a pearl hairpin. Looking at Jiang Peihuan, Jiang Ruyun whispered, Elder sister, I want this pearl hairpin. This one's yours. And this set of ornaments, give it to our second aunt when you go back. Elder sister, this is too valuable. It's just a set of ornaments. It's not a big deal. Thank you very much, elder sister. Jiang Ruyun quietly thanked her as she looked at the items that Jiang Peihuan handed over. After Jiang Ruyun left, Jiang Peihuan handed another set of ornaments to Jiang Xijin. Take this set to the elegant garden and give it to our third aunt. All right. Subsequently, Jiang Peihuan also chose some gifts for old Madame Jiang and Shui Yan. Even for old Madame Shui and the two ladies of the Shui family, Jiang Peihuan didn't leave them out. By the time she had distributed all the items, the trays on the table were nearly empty. However, Jiang Peihuan was still curious about what Xiao Nani had done to earn such a reward from Emperor Qi Ming at this time. Jiang Peihuan waited for Xiao Nani to arrive and inquire. But he didn't show up all night. Eldest miss, it's getting late. You should rest. Yue carefully moved the brazier aside, and then turned to advise Jiang Peihuan. Jiang Peihuan glanced outside and softly asked, Has it started snowing heavily outside? Yes, it seems this winter will be very cold. All right, you should go and rest too. Yes. After bowing to Jiang Peihuan, Yue left her room. When Jiang Peihuan lay down, Xiaobai quickly ran up to the bed, finding its usual spot. Seeing its movements, Jiang Peihuan softly chuckled. You sure know your place. Could it be that the snowstorm was too intense? Jiang Peihuan lay down, filled with doubts. She realized that she seemed to have gotten used to seeing Xiao Nani every day. At this moment, Xiao Nani was looking coldly at the woman named Zhuo Ma in front of him. He was about to leave for the general's mansion, but just as he reached the door, he heard the doorkeeper announce that Princess Zhuo Ma had come to visit. With cold eyes fixed on Zhuo Ma as she entered the main hall, Xiao Nani's expression showed no warmth. Zhuo Ma, on the other hand, did not seem to notice the coldness in the man's eyes. She walked forward with a smile. Your Highness, one hope you'll forgive my sudden visit. Princess Zhuoma came to my Qing mansion late at night. Is there something you need? Indeed, I have a request. Being new to the capital, I'm not very familiar with it. I was hoping that you might be willing to show me around. Hearing this, Han Feng, standing next to Xiao Nani, widened his eyes. If the situation had been different, he would have applauded this princess from the grasslands for her audacity. You should find someone else. I'm not available, Xiao Nani declined flatly. Your Highness, Han Feng, see our guest out. Zhuoma hadn't expected Xiao Nani to refuse her so bluntly. As she stood up from her chair, preparing to say something else, he cut her off. She tried to approach him, but Han Feng blocked her way. Princess Zhuoma, please. She shot Han Feng a fierce look before leaving the mansion. However, instead of departing right away, she had her carriage brought to the side. She had noticed earlier that Xiao Nani was about to leave his mansion, and she wanted to find out where he was heading. Master, Princess Zhuoma hasn't left yet, Han Feng whispered, having noticed her lurking in the shadows. Xiao Nani glanced coldly in her direction, murmuring, "Ignore her." He always disregarded things and people he deemed unimportant. Shortly after, Xiao Nani and Han Feng mounted their horses. Seeing this, Zhuoma rode over. Your Highness, where are you headed? May I accompany you? Han Feng was speechless. He couldn't believe someone, especially a princess, could be so shameless. Without sparing her a glance, Xiao Nani signaled to his horse, which immediately bolted forward. Han Feng quickly followed. Zhuoma clenched her teeth, raising her own whip to spur her horse on. But by the time she rounded the corner, following the sound of hooves, Xiao Nani and Han Feng had disappeared from sight. Staring at the direction in which they'd vanished, Zhuoma's grip tightened in frustration. Meanwhile, in the general's mansion, Plum Garden, the lights in Jiang Paihuan's room were out. Xiao Nani stood in the courtyard, quietly approaching her door. He gently pushed it open. There was a faint fragrance in the air, and the man's eyes became gentle. In the darkness, the man slowly walked to the bedside. Chapter 225. It shouldn't sleep on the bed anymore at that moment. As Xiao Nani approached the bed, Xiao Bai lying next to Jiang Peihuan opened its eyes. However, upon recognizing that the intruder was Xiao Nani, it closed its eyes again. Jiang Peihuan, on the other hand, didn't wake up even when Xiao Nani sat down by her bed. The darkness didn't hinder Xiao Nani's vision. As he gazed at Jiang Peihuan on the bed, his eyes softened. Admiring Jiang Peihuan's beautiful face, he couldn't help but reach out and gently touch her cheek. That touch made Jiang Peihuan open her eyes. Seeing Xiao Nani sitting beside her bed, she was somewhat dazed. Xiao Nani, can you actually enter my dreams? When Jiang Peihuan opened her eyes, Xiao Nani was startled, feeling like a child caught doing something mischievous. But her words left him dumbfounded. After a moment, he couldn't help but chuckle. Do you really think this is a dream? He reached out to her again. But this time, Jiang Peihuan grabbed his hand. Xiao Nani. It took her a few seconds to realize that this wasn't a dream, and that he had indeed sneaked into her room. Sitting up, Jiang Peihuan looked at the man beside her bed with disbelief. Meeting her gaze, Xiao Nani felt a rare moment of awkwardness. Did I wake you up? I just wanted to see you. I won't disturb you. As he finished speaking, he prepared to leave, but Jiang Peihuan grabbed his sleeve. Facing his puzzled look, she whispered, "There's a snowstorm outside. Wait it out here." Han Feng, who was standing on the tree outside and facing the wind and snow, heard the conversation in the room. His eyes were filled with resentment. But soon, Han Feng stopped complaining because Jiang Paihuan's door was opened a crack. Then a white figure was thrown out. Xiao Bai, who was tossed out, rolled a few times in the snow. Then, with wide eyes, it looked confusedly at Xiao Nani at the door. "If you dare to sleep on the bed again, I'll skin you alive." After saying that, Xiao Nani closed the door. Realizing it had been left outside, Xiao Bai rushed to the door, scratching it desperately. Han Feng, who was on the tree, saw this scene and quickly flew down to hold Xiao Bai in his arms. Seeing that Xiao Bai was tired to escape, Han Feng said in a soft voice, "I advise you not to disturb Master and eldest Mississippi, otherwise Your wolf skin will really be peeled off. Perhaps understanding Han Feng's words or feeling too cold, Xiaobai shivered. Smiling, Han Feng tucked Xiaobai into his cloak. Seeing Xiaobai trying to escape, Han Feng said with a smile, "Just stay inside my cloak. While it's not as warm as the eldest Miss' bed, it's still warm. Moreover, I'm quite bored up in this tree alone. Keep me company." Afterward, a man and a wolf silently crouched in the tree, watching the door to Jiang Peihuan's room. Inside the room, Jiang Peihuan, now on her bed, looked at the closed door and was speechless. Looking at the man sitting by her bed, she couldn't help but ask, "Why on earth did you throw Xiaobai out? It shouldn't sleep on the bed anymore." Why? Having Xiaobai's warmth, Jiang Peihuan always felt cozier in bed. Because it shouldn't. Facing Jiang Peihuan's puzzled look, the man cleared his throat and continued, "If it gets into the habit, I'll probably always want to sleep on the bed. Are you suggesting that after our wedding, one should make room for it?" His voice filled with lament. Xiao Nanya's eyes showed a hint of jealousy. He wouldn't admit it, but he was jealous. He hadn't even laid down on Jiang Peihuan's bed yet. Why should a wolf like Xiaobai get to? Jiang Peihuan always felt there was something off about Xiao Nanya's words, but she couldn't pinpoint the issue immediately. She didn't want to dwell on the topic of whether to sleep or not with Xiao Nani. So she brought up the matter of the gifts bestowed upon her by Emperor Qi Ming. Looking at the man by her bedside, Jiang Peihuan softly said, "I asked Chief Eunuch Wang, and he mentioned it was due to you. What did you do to make the emperor grant me these gifts?" Hearing this, Xiao Nani raised an eyebrow. Smiling gently at Jiang Peihuan, he replied, "Since the emperor has given you a gift, just accept it. I didn't do much. One just sent him a cloak from the storeroom." Jiang Peihuan was speechless. Whether it was in her past life or this one, she had always heard of Emperor Qi Ming's extreme fondness for his only brother, Xiao Nani. She hadn't believed it before, but now she truly did. After chatting a bit more, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but yawn continuously. Seeing her continuous yawning, Xiao Nani stood up, then said to Jiang Peihuan, "You should rest. I'll be leaving now." Truly feeling drowsy, Jiang Peihuan nodded in agreement. Watching Jiang Peihuan lie down, Xiao Nani carefully draped the blanket over her, and then quietly exited the room. Just as Xiao Nani stepped out, Han Feng, holding Xiaobai, descended from the tree. "Master, are we leaving now?" Han Feng asked, worried he might freeze to death on that tree if they lingered any longer. "Yes, let's go." Seeing Xiao Nanya's nod, Han Feng's eyes lit up with joy, and he quickly followed. As they reached the wall, it seemed Han Feng remembered something. He took Xiaobai out from his cloak and placed it on the ground. Xiao Nani gave it a glance before departing with Han Feng. Xiaobai, left behind, immediately ran to Jiang Peihuan's door. It carefully pushed the door open with its paws and dashed in. In her drowsy state, Jiang Peihuan faintly heard some movement. Opening her eyes, she saw Xiaobai lying beside her. Remembering what that man had said, Jiang Peihuan looked at Xiaobai with a full smile. "Xiaobai, go to sleep." She stroked its head, then closed her eyes. Outside the general manor, Zuoma sat in a carriage. Even though there had been a coal fire in the carriage, it had long since died out, making her feel so cold her hands were stiffening. Just as she was considering whether to leave or not, she heard her maid's excited voice. "Princess, King Cheng has come out." Hearing the announcement, Zuoma immediately lifted the curtain and, upon seeing Xiao Nani on horseback, her eyes filled with excitement. Turning her gaze, Zuoma stared intently at the general's mansion. As for all these matters, Jiang Peihuan remained oblivious. Perhaps winter really was a season to sleep deeply, as she slept soundly until daylight. "Eldest miss, are you awake?" Chapter 226. "I want to marry King Cheng Yu heir," who was outside the door, heard the commotion inside, and called out in a soft voice, "I'm awake. Come in." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Yu heir opened the door and placed the hot water she was holding on a shelf. With a smile, she approached Jiang Peihuan. "Did eldest miss sleep well last night?" "Yes. Ever since this heavy snow began, I've been sleeping later and later each day. That's good. You usually wake up early, eldest Mississippi. Now it's a perfect time for you to rest. Hearing Yu Er's words, Jiang Peihuan smiled without commenting. Just as she had finished freshening up, Lu Er burst into the room in a fluster. Seeing her in such a state, Yu Er frowned. Lu Er, what's the matter? Seeing the look in Yu Er's eyes, Lu Er paused before apologizing to Jiang Peihuan. Miss, I'm sorry, What happened? Without waiting for Lu Er to finish speaking, Jiang Peihuan interrupted her softly. She thought Lu Er would have learned from the previous incident, but in such a short span of time, Lu Er had reverted to her old ways. Jiang Peihuan felt a touch of helplessness. Realizing her lapse, Lu Er said urgently, Princess Shuama from the Grassland tribe has come, specifically asking to see you. Princess Shuama. Seeing Lu Er nod, surprise filled Jiang Peihuan's eyes. In her past life, Princess Shuama never visited the Qi Kingdom. But in this life, many things seemed different from before. Lost in her thoughts, Jiang Peihuan suddenly heard fighting noises outside. With a frown, she headed out. Frowning, Jian Peihuan walked out directly. In the courtyard, Shuama dodged a sword thrust from Yi Xiao. Her horsewhip lashed towards Yi Xiao's face. You dare to stop me, wretch? Jiang Peihuan, who had just stepped out, heard Shuama's words and her expression instantly turned icy. Yi Xiao, stand down. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Yi Xiao immediately retreated to the side. However, at this moment, Shuama's eyes revealed a hint of gloominess. With a flip of her wrist, the horsewhip in her hand whipped Yi Xiao's back. Jiang Peihuan's eyes turned cold when she saw this. Reaching for her waist, Jiang Peihuan swung the long black whip in her hand. Her whip entangled Shuama's, yanking it from her grasp. Tossing Shuama's whip aside, Jiang Peihuan retracted her own, her gaze cold as ice. Princess Shuama, is it appropriate for you to come to my courtyard and attack my people so early in the morning? Shuama didn't respond immediately, instead sizing up Jiang Peihuan. The night before, she had learned that Xiao Nani was not yet married, but did have a fiancé, Jiang Peihuan. Shuama assessed Jiang Peihuan's features, and a hint of jealousy crept into her eyes. I just wanted to speak with Miss Jiang. I didn't expect your servant to block my way. One lost my temper. Please forgive me. Seeing Zuoma's sudden change in demeanor, Jiang Peihuan's brow furrowed. Zhuoma awaited a reply, but when none came, she stepped forward. I'd like to explore the capital. Miss Jiang, I'm new to the Qi Kingdom and don't know anyone here. Why don't you show me around? She added. By the way, the Emperor of Qi has agreed to this. Hearing Zhuoma's words, Jiang Peihuan hesitated briefly before nodding. Very well. An hour later, Jiang Peihuan and Zhuoma walked to the entrance of the general's mansion together. Just as Jiang Peihuan was about to board the carriage, she was stopped by Zhuoma. Meeting her puzzled gaze, Zhuoma said with a meaningful smile, Miss Jiang, as you may know, I grew up on the grasslands. Women of the grasslands are accustomed to horse riding. I'm not used to sitting in this carriage. Why don't you ride with me? When she came, Zhuoma had asked around. Most young ladies in the capital were delicate and frail. Looking at Jiang Peihuan, she seemed gentle and fragile. She didn't believe Jiang Peihuan could ride a horse in such cold weather. However, what unfolded before her eyes left Zhuoma stunned. Well, as the princess wishes. Upon hearing Zhuoma's words, Jiang Peihuan nodded, and then whistled sharply with her fingers to her lips. Soon, the sound of galloping hooves approached. Lai Feng ran directly to Jiang Peihuan. Gently patting its head, she mounted the horse with ease. Seeing Jian Peihuan's agile movements, Zhuoma was stunned. This wasn't what she had anticipated. Not only was Jiang Peihuan skilled, but both Yi Xiao and Yu Er also displayed agility. Witnessing this, Zhuoma couldn't hold back any longer. Weren't the women of the capital said to be frail? Then why are you? While many ladies in the capital may be delicate, my family hails from a military background. One grew up in a military camp. Therefore, for me, riding and archery are as common as daily meals. Hearing this, Zhuoma shut her mouth, not wanting to utter another word. The group rode their horses towards the city. Upon reaching a street food stall at the city entrance, Jiang Peihuan stopped. Following her lead, Zhuoma dismounted and, taking in the scene, her eyes showed a hint of curiosity. Still, she asked with some displeasure, "Is this where you brought me? I'm hungry. I want to eat something first." Having said that, Jiang Peihuan sat down at a nearby dumpling stall. Turning to Zhuoma, she softly inquired, "Would the princess like some?" Zhuoma instinctively wanted to decline. However, as the stall owner lifted the lid off the pot, the aromatic scent reached her nostrils. Her initial refusal turned into, "Since you're eating, I'll join you. Boss 6 bowls of dumplings." Considering the 2 maids accompanying Princess Zhuoma, Jiang Peihuan ordered 6 bowls in total. Both Zhuoma and Jiang Peihuan sat at the same table. After finishing their meal, Zhuoma felt a slight lift in her mood. Chapter 227. "I believe he won't marry you." Looking at Zhuoma, Jiang Peihuan nodded. "One understand." Zhuoma had expected that after she spoke, Jiang Peihuan would fly into a rage. She had envisioned all possible outcomes, but she hadn't expected Jiang Peihuan to remain so calm. Seeing Jiang Peihuan get up, she couldn't help but rise as well. Staring at Jiang Peihuan, she asked coldly, "Aren't you angry?" "Why should I be?" Zhuoma stared intently into Jiang Peihuan's eyes. Noticing that her expression was truly without a ripple of emotion, Zhuoma felt a flash of anger. "Stop pretending. I know the emperor of the Qi kingdom has decreed your marriage to King Cheng. I want to marry him. I don't believe you aren't angry." "Princess Zhuoma, as you said, you want to marry King Cheng. Thus, you should be speaking to him about this, not me. If you can get His Highness King Cheng to agree, I definitely won't stop you from marrying him." "Of course, I believe that he won't marry you." Huan Er. As soon as Jiang Peihuan finished speaking, she heard a familiar voice. She turned around and saw Xiao Nani sitting on the horse's back. Xiao Juanhao was beside him. Xiao Nani got off his horse and walked to Jiang Peihuan's side. Looking at Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani said directly, "Believe me, one have nothing to do with her." "When did you arrive?" "A while ago." Hearing his words, Jiang Peihuan's eyes sparkled. "So you heard everything I just said?" Xiao Nani remained silent, simply nodding. When he heard Jiang Peihuan's indifferent words earlier, Xiao Nani felt a bit panicked, but after hearing her final words, he was delighted. "Why did you leave the mansion?" "Princess Zhuoma wanted me to accompany her on a stroll, so I went out. And Imperial Brother asked me to inspect the situation of the guards in the capital." King Cheng. Zhuoma had been standing by the side. Seeing that Xiao Nani was only talking to Jiang Peihuan, a trace of jealousy flashed in her eyes. She walked up to him. Looking at Zhuoma, who was walking towards him, Xiao Nani's eyes revealed a hint of annoyance. The gentleness in his eyes instantly disappeared. He looked at Zhuoma coldly, but he did not say anything. "Your Highness King Cheng, we just met last night at your mansion. Do you still remember?" Hearing Zhuoma's words, Xiao Nani frowned and subconsciously looked at Jiang Peihuan. Seeing that she didn't look upset, he let out a sigh of relief. Without giving Zhuoma another glance, Xiao Nani turned to Han Feng. "Order that aside from Huan Er, no other woman is allowed to step into my mansion." "Yes." When Han Feng heard his master's order, he hurriedly nodded in response. Zhuoma's expression turned ugly when she heard this. "Imperial uncle, Princess Zhuoma is a distinguished guest after all. This seems a bit too cold-hearted of you." Xiao Juanhao, who had been silent all this while, glanced at Zhuoma and Jiang Peihuan, then laughed. Hearing his voice, a smile appeared on Zhuoma's face. Xiao Nani sneered. "Since Prince Qing is so hospitable, you can take care of Princess Zhuoma. If you like her, you might as well take her into your mansion. After all, you've already chosen your main and side consorts. What's one more?" Hearing Xiao Nani's words, Xiao Junhao's eyes darkened. When Jiang Yan became his main consort, his position as prince had already been denied by the emperor, mainly because of the rebellion of King Chujiang. If he were to marry a princess from a grassland tribe, his fate would be sealed. "Imperial uncle, you must be joking. Princess Zhuoma is obviously in love with you." "What a joke. Just because she's fond of me." Does that mean I have to marry her? There are countless women in this world who are fond of me. Should I marry them all and let them eat freely at my mansion? Hearing what Xiao Nani said, Zhuoma's face was beyond the description of unpleasant. However, Xiao Nani didn't even bother to look at the two. He turned to Jiang Peihuan and said, "Since we've left the mansion, why not let me accompany you for a stroll?" When speaking to Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nanya's expression was tender. Seeing Xiao Nanya's change in demeanor, Zhuoma clenched her fists in frustration. Xiao Junhao's face was also unpleasant to behold. From the beginning to end, Xiao Junhao's gaze remained fixed on Jiang Peihuan. Yet she never once looked back at him. Did he really become an irrelevant stranger in her eyes? Jiang Peihuan wasn't aware of Xiao Junhao's thoughts. Somehow, over time, her intense hatred for Xiao Junhao had somewhat waned, replaced more by annoyance. Hearing Xiao Nani, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "Don't you have official duties?" "No matter. No task is more important than you." After speaking, Xiao Nani turned to Xiao Junhao. "Prince Qing, this duty is yours now. Huan let's go." Saying this, Xiao Nani reached out and took Jiang Peihuan by the wrist. At that moment, Zhuoma blocked their path. Despite seeing Xiao Nanya's ominous expression, she said softly, "King Cheng, I have received permission from the Emperor of Qi to have eldest Miss Jiang accompany me around the capital. Are you going against the Emperor's decree?" "Humph." Hearing Zhuoma's words, Xiao Nani sneered and took Jiang Peihuan's hand and left. Zhuoma wanted to follow, but Han Feng pulled out his sword and aimed it at Zhuoma. "Princess, one advise you not to follow." While Han Feng spoke with a faint smile, his eyes bore no humor, only a stern warning. As he spoke, Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan had already moved quite a distance away. The streets were covered in snow, but many people had set up their stalls. Since it was the capital, it was still bustling. However, as they walked, Jiang Peihuan noticed several beggars. Seeing them, she turned to Xiao Nani and said, "There are so many beggars in the city now?" Following her gaze, Xiao Nani also saw the beggars, his eyes reflecting a moment of silence. The recent heavy snow has affected the surrounding farmers. This year has been colder than previous ones, so many can't survive. If it's like this in the capital, isn't it worse in the surrounding towns? Indeed it is. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan turned to him and said, "Does the emperor know about this? Has he taken any measures?" "The officials haven't reported the situation yet." As he said this, Xiao Nanya's eyes were filled with mockery. Seeing his expression, Jiang Peihuan's face also darkened. The emperor cannot leave the palace at will. If the ministers don't report, even if there are dead bodies everywhere outside the palace, the emperor will never know. Chapter 228. I plan to use my personal savings. Never mind, I don't want to wander around anymore. Xiao Nani, one want to go back. The further they went, the more beggars they saw, making Jiang Peihuan lose her mood for leisurely strolling. Although she wasn't particularly kind-hearted, seeing children with frostbitten hands and feet still tugged at her heartstrings. Xiao Nani obviously understood Jiang Peihuan's feelings. After hearing her, he nodded. "I'll take you back." "All right." Jiang Peihuan didn't refuse and returned with Xiao Nani to the general's mansion. However, when they arrived at the entrance of the mansion, Jiang Peihuan said to him, "I've made up my mind. I plan to discuss with my family elders about distributing porridge in the city. Even if the ministers haven't reported it yet, can you mention it to the emperor? Even if Emperor Qi Ming does nothing, he will at least know of their intentions, and will likely have no objections." Understanding her meaning, Xiao Nani nodded. "Don't worry, 111 speak to my imperial brother. You do whatever you want, no one will gossip." "All right, 111 go in then." "Go ahead." Jian Peihuan nodded at Xiao Nani and walked into the general's mansion. Xiao Nani stood outside. When he saw her figure disappear through the door, he turned around and left. After entering the mansion, Jiang Peihuan went directly to the Chrysanthemum Hall. When she arrived, all the family members were there, even Jian Mei. The old Madame Jiang treated Jian Mei indifferently, but due to her pregnancy, she wasn't overly cold to her. "Old Madam, Eldest miss is here. Nanny Su announced Jiang Peihuan's arrival. Upon hearing this, old Madame Jiang's eyes immediately revealed a smile. By this time Jiang Peihuan had entered the main hall. Grandmother. After greeting her grandmother, she greeted Zhou Rongfang and Lu Xiao. Weren't you accompanying Princess Shuoma around? Why are you back so soon? I met His Highness King Cheng on the way, so I came back early. Sitting next to her grandmother, Jiang Peihuan said softly, Grandmother, there's something one want to discuss with you. What is it? Zhou Rongfang and Lu Xiao turned their attention to Jiang Peihuan. Meeting everyone's gaze, Jiang Peihuan said, Grandmother, while wandering the city today, one saw many beggars, many of whom were just children. I want to distribute porridge in the city, and I hope you can agree. This distribution will take at least 7 days, and it'll be a significant amount of money. Before the old madam could respond, Zhou Rongfang quickly interjected, Mother. Hearing this, Jiang Ruyun frowned, pulled Zhou Rongfang's sleeve to signal her to keep quiet. If it were the past, Jiang Peihuan wouldn't have bothered to respond to Zhou Rongfang, but given Jiang Ruyun's recent changes, for the sake of family unity, she addressed Zhou Rongfang, Aunt, don't worry. For this distribution, I plan to use my personal savings. I haven't used up the 100,000 gold that the Huainan mansion gave me earlier. Hearing this, Zhou Rongfang frowned. Looking at Jiang Peihuan, Zhou Rongfang whispered, Huan heir, it's not that your second aunt is nagging you, but even though this money is your personal savings, you're getting married into the royal household in a month. It's better for you to keep more money. Otherwise, enough. Before Zhou Rongfang could finish, old Madame Jiang interrupted her. With a cold glance at Zhou Rongfang, old Madame Jiang turned to Jiang Peihuan with a smile. Our Huan heir has always had a kind heart. Doing charity is a good deed. If you want to go, go ahead. I, as your grandmother, will agree to it. As for the money for the charity, you don't have to provide it. One will. Upon hearing this, Zhou Rongfang nearly ground her teeth in anger, but she had no right to question old Madame Jiang's personal savings. After all, it was hers to give to whomever she pleased. Hearing old Madame Jiang's words, warmth filled Jiang Peihuan's heart. She held the old madame's hand and said softly, There's no need, grandmother. One will make the arrangements first. If one run out of funds, I will come to you. Old Madame Jiang wanted to say something, but seeing Zhou Rongfang's resentful eyes, she simply nodded in agreement. Grandmother, let my elder sister and I go together. While one might not have money, one can at least offer some help. Jiang Ruyun looked at old Madame Jiang and said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Grandmother Jiang nodded. If you want to go, then accompany Huan heir. Also, take Si Jing with you. Mother, Songbai is also returning from afar today. Why not let him join too? Lu Xiao smiled and said. Hearing that her young grandson was coming back, joy lit up old Madame Jiang's eyes. She looked at Lu Xiao and said joyfully, Songbai is coming back? Yes, he sent a letter yesterday saying he'll arrive by tonight. The weather is getting colder. Make sure someone picks him up and have the servants warm up his quarters. Don't worry, Mother, it's all been arranged. Grandmother, it's getting colder by the day. 111 make the arrangements now. Looking at the snow outside, Jiang Peihuan said to old Madame Jiang. The old madam nodded her approval, and Jiang Peihuan, together with Jiang Ruyun, took their leave. Elder sister, don't take to heart what my mother said. She meant no harm. As they stepped out, Jiang Ruyun said to Jiang Peihuan. Seeing the hesitation in Jiang Ruyun's eyes, Jiang Peihuan replied softly, It's all right. We're family. Your mother only wants what's best for me. One won't mind. Let's go. Let me arrange for some helpers. Ideally, we can start distributing the porridge tonight. Isn't that a bit too rushed? Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Jiang Ruyun looked surprised. But Jiang Peihuan simply shook her head. In winter, nights are the hardest. Having some warm porridge might at least warm them up. An hour later, Jiang Peihuan, along with Jiang Ruyun and Jiang Sijin, started preparing. While Jiang Peihuan was busy, a voice reached her. Cousin, what are you all up to? Shui Ru's foot hadn't completely healed, but with the help of a maid, she could walk normally. At this moment, seeing Jiang Peihuan directing people to load things onto carriages, confusion filled her eyes. We're going to distribute porridge in the city. Cousin Ru, would you like to come along? Chapter 229. Giving porridge. Jiang Peihuan was feeling anxious at the moment. As winter days grew dark quickly, she really had no mood to deal with Shuiru. Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Shuiru looked upset. Why waste good food on beggars? You must be overly fed. Miss Shui, please be careful with your words. Beggars are also humans. We should have compassion in our hearts. How can you speak like this? Jiang Ruyan looked furious hearing Shuiru's comments. Jiang Peihuan, however, didn't even glance at Shuiru and turned to Jiang Xijin. Is everything ready? Don't worry, eldest sister. Everything is ready. All right, let's go. Yes. Jiang Peihuan exited the main door and mounted her horse. Seeing her actions, Jiang Ruyan and Jiang Xijin also mounted theirs, following behind Jiang Peihuan. Watching the impressive convoy depart, Shuiru's eyes darkened. Elder sister, why is Cousin Ru so annoying? Just ignore her. Pretend she's invisible. The group went straight to the city center market. As Jiang Peihuan dismounted, Deputy General Liu immediately approached. Eldest Miss Jiang? Let's start cooking the porridge. Yes. As Jiang Peihuan proceeded, numerous beggars had already gathered, crowding the place. She didn't need to think to know there were even more outside the city. As heavy snowfall continued, these beggars were still dressed in thin clothes. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan frowned. Deputy General Liu? Eldest Mississippi. Go to the city's cloth shop and buy ready-made cotton clothes. They don't have to be of fine quality. Coarse cloth will suffice. Buy in bulk. Eldest Jiang, these clothes aren't cheap. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's instructions, Deputy General Liu glanced at the beggars. There was a hint of pity and sympathy in his eyes, but he still voiced his concerns. Jiang Peihuan simply smiled. It's fine. As she spoke, Jiang Peihuan handed a thick stack of silver notes to Deputy General Liu. Yes, I'll go right away. Taking the silver notes from Jiang Peihuan's hands, Deputy General Liu nodded softly. Remember, be quick. Yes. After Deputy General Liu left, Jiang Peihuan instructed the people to start cooking the porridge. When the rice was poured into the pot, the eyes of the beggars were filled with desire. Jiang Peihuan walked over to them, speaking softly. Everyone, this porridge stall will be here for the next few days, ensuring everyone gets some. However, I request you to form a line. Also, let the children and the elderly come forward first. The strong men stand behind. Though her voice was soft, due to the stillness of the night, everyone could hear her. Miss Jiang was here last winter, distributing porridge. This year she's here again. Line up and follow Miss Jiang's instructions. Many of these beggars were farmers nearby. However, due to the continuous war in the past 2 years and the sudden snowfall this year, these farmers had no choice but to become beggars. Among the beggars, many were local farmers. Continuous warfare and sudden heavy snow this year left them with no choice but to become beggars. Many had seen Jiang Peihuan distributing porridge before, so they naturally started to form a line. First came the children, then the elderly, followed by women, and lastly men. Most obeyed the rules, but a few were always troublemakers. It's time to start distributing the porridge. With Jiang Xijin's command, the crowd began to buzz with excitement. Although most of the crowd could restrain themselves, just as a little boy at the front, around 5 or 6 years old, was about to receive his porridge, 2 men pushed their way to the front. The little boy, barely able to hold the bowl steady, was jostled by the 2 men. His porridge spilled, but luckily it splashed onto the ground and not on him. However, when Jiang Peihuan saw this, anger flashed in her eyes. What are you 2 doing? Go to the back of the line. Jiang Xijin, known for her temper, was also filled with rage. But the 2 men not only refused to leave, but they also replied with brazen confidence. Such a small child will only slow things down. They should wait until the end. Exactly, just serve us first. ITLL save time for the others. You two. Upon hearing their shameless words, Jiang Saijin's face reddened with anger. She was about to step forward to deal with them when Jiang Paihuan's voice rang out. Go to the back. Jiang Paihuan's eyes were dark and icy as she stared intently at the two men. Facing her intense gaze, the two men felt a shiver of fear. But recalling that she was just a young lady from a wealthy family, one of them tried to charm his way out. Miss, we are genuinely hungry. We've been waiting for so long, so we thought to Jiang Paihuan's patience snapped. She drew a whip from her waist, and with a swift move, wrapped it around one man's hand. With a tug, she threw him onto the snowy ground. The other man met a similar fate. They saw Jiang Paihuan's black whip coming straight at their faces. Before they could react, they felt a burning pain on their faces. Throw these two people out. If they dare to shout, break their limbs. Without waiting for their response, Jiang Peihuan ordered her servants. Yes, eldest Mississippi. Upon Jiang Paihuan's command, several servants came forward, dragging the two men away and quickly silencing them. Others had contemplated cutting in line, but after witnessing the scene, they silently returned to their place. Here your porridge. Hold it steady. Jiang Xijin then began distributing the porridge. On another line, Jiang Ruyin did the same. The queues were so long they seemed endless. Set up another pot. Yes. Elder sister? Just as Jiang Peihuan was preparing another distribution line, she heard Jiang Songbei's voice. He was dressed in his academy uniform, with Ping'an closely following him. The two brothers of the Jiang family, Jiang Changbai and Jiang Songbai, learned martial arts and civil arts respectively. The followers of the two of them were brothers by blood. One of them was called Chang'an, and the other was called Ping'an eldest sister. Seeing the young man rushing towards her, Jiang Paihuan's eyes softened with a gentle smile. Did you just return home? Third young master had just returned to the mansion. When he learned that you and the other mistresses were here distributing porridge, he came straight here. Ping'an quickly relayed. You should go home and rest. Jiang Peihuan suggested to Jiang Songbai after hearing Ping'an's update. However, the young man shook his head. Elder sister, I'm not tired. Let me help, okay? Seeing Jiang Songbei's determination, Jiang Peihuan nodded in agreement. Chapter 230. Naturally it will empty your private savings. Jiang Peihuan arranged Jiang Songbai in the third team. At this moment, Deputy General Liu also arrived. Behind him was a line of large carts, all filled with cotton-padded jackets. Seeing so many jackets, surprise filled Jiang Paihuan's eyes. So many? Eldest miss, these were sent by young Master Liu. He said these jackets are a token of the Liu family's goodwill, and hopes that you won't refuse. As he spoke, Deputy General Liu took out all the silver notes that Jiang Peihuan had given him. Accepting the silver notes from his hands, Jiang Peihuan nodded. Let's start distributing these jackets. Everyone, as I said before, 1 jacket per person, but children and the elderly are the priority. Given the previous incidents, there was no dispute when people lined up for the jackets this time. The porridge was easy to distribute, 1 bowl per person. Although the jackets seemed plentiful because they were bulky, more than half were quickly claimed. Eldest miss, there are too many people, and there aren't enough jackets. You keep distributing. 111 find a way. Finishing her words, Jiang Peihuan looked towards the third team's location. Songbai, come here. Hearing Jiang Paihuan's voice, Jiang Songbai quickly handed his ladle to Ping'an and rushed to her side. Eldest sister, you called? I have a task for you. Eldest sister, please give me your orders. Go to cousin Liu's house and tell him one want to buy jackets. But we can't just accept them for free. Tell him that the ones he brought earlier already show his goodwill. It's difficult to buy so many jackets in such a short time. Ask cousin Liu for help. But you must give him silver. If he doesn't accept it, say we don't want the jackets. Don't worry, eldest sister. 111 make sure it's done. With a smile to Jiang Peihuan, Jiang Songbai immediately mounted his horse and left. Although Jiang Songbai was always at the academy, he had trained in martial arts for many years, so Jiang Peihuan wasn't worried about him being alone. However, not long after Jiang Songbai left, Jiang Peihuan heard the sound of galloping horses. Instinctively, she looked up. She immediately saw Xiao Nani on his horse Zuiyun. Behind the man were neatly arranged soldiers. Each of them had a cart behind them, filled with food and jackets. Seeing the man approaching, a smile appeared in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. "Why are you here?" "I heard from Yi Xiao that you started distributing porridge tonight. Naturally, I had to come. All these items are from my imperial brother's private treasury. Distribute them as you see fit." "From the emperor's private treasury? These are his people. As the ruler of a kingdom, isn't this what he should do?" Seeing the mini-carts, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but smirk. She strongly suspected that Xiao Nani had emptied Emperor Qi Ming's private treasury. Her guess was correct. Although a bit remained in Qi Ming Emperor's treasury, it was almost all gone. Wang Kuan looked at the emptied storage room and hurriedly ran to the Qianqing Palace. "Your Majesty, there's a problem." "What are you shouting for?" Emperor Qi Ming was reviewing documents. Hearing Wang Kun's voice, he gave him a cold glance. Taking a deep breath, Wang Kuan spoke. "Your Majesty, King Chenghihi." "What did he do?" "He has emptied your private treasury." "What do you mean by emptied?" "All the treasures that Prince Hachi had offered, along with the original items in your treasury, have all been taken by King Cheng. He didn't leave any behind?" Emperor Qi Ming directly threw the brush in his hand onto the table and looked at Wang Kuan as he spoke with anger in his eyes. Hesitatingly, Wang Kuan replied, "He did leave some, but only some damaged fabrics. Anything useful was taken." "Is he trying to rebel? Go and tell him to get into the palace right now." "Yes, Your Majesty." Seeing the enraged Emperor Qi Ming, Wang Kuan hurriedly left. At that moment, Xiao Nani was helping Jiang Peihuan distribute items. However, Han Feng soon rushed over. After paying his respects, Han Feng whispered, "Master, the emperor is furious. He's ordered you to come to the palace immediately." "Oh." Upon hearing Han Feng's words, Xiao Nani nodded, and then continued to distribute the jackets. Jiang Peihuan, who was nearby, looked at him and said, "Why does the emperor want to see you?" "Probably because one emptied his private treasury." "You? Don't tell me that the emperor didn't know when you moved the things?" "Yes." Seeing him nod, Jiang Peihuan didn't know what to say. Looking at him, she quickly asked, "So, how will you handle it?" "However it needs to be handled. After all, the items have already been given away." Jiang Peihuan was speechless. More than an hour later, Xiao Nani slowly walked into the palace. As soon as he arrived at Qianqing Hall, a teacup was thrown directly at Xiao Nani. This time, Emperor Qi Ming was genuinely angry, aiming the cup directly at Xiao Nani's shoulder. However, with a sidestep, Xiao Nani avoided it, and the teacup fell to the ground, shattering. Seeing this, both Emperor Qi Ming and Wang Kuan were stunned. A few seconds later, Emperor Qi Ming, filled with rage, yelled at Xiao Nani, "You dare dodge? Tell me, where are the items from my private treasury? Return them." "No items to return. But if you want my life, you can have it." "You." Xiao Nani walked up to Emperor Qi Ming, sat on a chair beside him, and finally turned to Wang Kuan. "Also, do you still have that Longjing tea I drank last time? Brew some for me." "Your Highness, have you forgotten? All of that Longjing tea was given to you by the emperor. Do you have any other teas?" "Brew some for me." Wang Kuan was truly amazed. Hearing Xiao Nani's words, he silently left the room. Emperor Qi Ming was so angry he couldn't speak. He just glared at Xiao Nani. Taking a teacup from Wang Kuan, Xiao Nani leisurely took a sip and then turned to Emperor Qi Ming. "Imperial brother, have you ever experienced the sensation of going through winter with only a single layer of clothing?" "What do you mean by that?" "The capital city is now filled with beggars." "What did you say?" "I've exchanged everything from your private treasury for food and clothing, and they've all been handed to those beggars." Emperor Qi Ming wasn't a fool. A fool couldn't be an emperor. After a moment, he understood Xiao Nani's intention. After a long while, he glared at Xiao Nani angrily. "If you wanted to give alms, Why didn't you use items from your own private treasury instead of emptying mine? Didn't one tell you my treasury is already empty? Moreover, those are your people, so naturally, we have to empty your private treasury. Chapter 231. Danger in the Residence. You all these years, you've been siphoning from me. Why is your private treasury empty? Did Imperial Brother forget? Am already betrothed. Everything from my private treasury has naturally been given to my future wife. Look at you, get out. Get out of my sight. By listening to Xiao Nanya's excuse and his matter-of-fact demeanor, Emperor Qi Ming felt a deep disappointment and anger. He slowly drank the tea in his cup, and rook his own sweet time to leave the Qianqing palace. After Xiao Nani left, the anger in Emperor Qi Ming's eyes dissipated a little. Go and investigate the current situation in Jingdo for me, as well as how many things the local officials have hidden from me. Yes, Your Majesty. A man dressed in black suddenly appeared in the empty space in front of him. After bowing to Emperor Qi Ming, he left. Your Majesty, what about King Cheng's treasure? Wang Kuan spoke up once that man left. Let him be. Just assume they're all gone. Hearing Emperor Qi Ming's words, Wang Kuan spoke no more, knowing this would be the outcome. However, it seemed as if Emperor Qi Ming had thought of something. He looked at Wang Kuan and whispered, "Summon the Empress." Yes. At Cunning Palace. Wang Kuan, why has His Majesty summoned me so late? Is there something urgent in the palace? Nevertheless, a gentle smile formed on the Empress' face. It's not exactly about the palace affairs. As they spoke, Wang Kuan whispered a few words into the Empress' ear. A moment later, the Empress arrived at the Palace of Heavenly Purity. The Palace of Heavenly Purity was the place where Emperor Qi Ming handled government affairs. Other than Emperor Qi Ming's orders, no one was allowed to enter. Upon entering the Qianqing Hall, the Empress bowed to Emperor Qi Ming. Greetings, Your Majesty. Rise. Upon hearing the Empress' voice, Emperor Qi Ming set down the brush in his hand and walked over to sit by the side, gesturing for her to sit next to him. Sit. One have something to discuss with you. What does Your Majesty wish to tell? Tonight, that boy Nani emptied my private treasury. Why? Did he cause any trouble? What trouble could he cause? He only did this to distribute porridge in the city. Empress, the snow this year is heavier and arrived earlier than usual. There are many beggars in the city, and probably even more outside. Emperor Qi Ming briefly described the situation in the city. I may not share the same hardships as the people. However, I also shouldn't be overly extravagant. Thus, I called you here to supervise the harem. From today on, reduce the expenses by 10% and strictly prohibit any extravagance. Don't worry, Your Majesty, one will definitely handle this matter well. By listening to Emperor Qi Ming, the Empress understood the dire situation of the common people. Hence, she promptly responded. Emperor Qi Ming nodded with satisfaction. One trust in your capabilities. The night deepened, but people from the city's general mansion continued to distribute porridge. Eldest sister, most of the porridge has been distributed. Leave the rest to me. You, second sister, and Si Jin should get some rest. Jiang Song, by looking at the diminishing queue, addressing Jiang Peihuan. You've just returned from the academy. Let's head back to the mansion together after this. Hearing his words, Jiang Peihuan softly chuckled. Elder sister, I'm a man with a strong body. It's fine even if I stay up all night. In this freezing cold, your health is a concern. Return to the mansion first, all right? While speaking, Jiang Songbai adjusted and tightened the cloak around Jiang Peihuan. Seeing the young man before her, the look in Jiang Peihuan's eyes grew even softer. The young man looked naive, but his stature was already very upright. After some thought, Jiang Peihuan reached out and patted Jiang Songbei's shoulder to entrust the remaining work to him. Elder sister, rest assured. It's getting late. Let's go back first and come back tomorrow morning. She reached out to Jiang Ruyun and Jiang Sijin. Many mansions only serve porridge at noon, but Jiang Peihuan always served porridge in the morning, noon and evening. Therefore, she really needed to go back and have a good rest. Jiang Ruyun and Jiang Xijin were also tired. They directly boarded the carriage. Tomorrow morning, both of you don't need to come. Rest well, and come over after lunch. Jiang Peihuan said softly. No, eldest sister, I want to be with you. Yes, elder sister. How can we let you work alone? I'll come with you. As soon as Jiang Peihuan finished speaking, Jiang Ruyun and Jiang Xijin immediately responded. Jiang Ruyun quickly added, elder sister, your health is weaker than ours. If you can come, there's no reason we can't. In that case, we'll come together tomorrow morning. Yes. Upon returning to the general's mansion, everyone went back to their respective courtyards. Eldest miss, the hot water is ready. After washing up, get some early rest. Yu Er placed the hot water on a nearby rack and gently spoke to Jiang Peihuan. Jiang Peihuan put down the medical book in her hand. You've been tired for a long time today. Go and rest early. We have to get up early tomorrow. Receive the cloth from Yu Er. Jiang Peihuan ordered her to go rest. Yes. After bowing to Jian Peihuan, Yu Er left. After a quick wash, Jiang Peihuan picked up the medical book again to read a few pages before setting it down. She pulled back the covers and lay down directly on the bed, then extinguished the lamp with a gust from her palm. Jiang Peihuan could not sleep well. She always felt as if something was staring at her. She suddenly heard the yelping of Xiao Bai. Ever since Xiao Nani had mentioned not to allow Xiao Bai to sleep on the bed, Yu Er had made a separate nest for Xiao Bai in Jiang Peihuan's room. Hearing Xiao Bai's yelp, Jiang Peihuan immediately sat up. Chapter 232. Xiao Bai's savior Jiang Peihuan felt a freezing breath came from the above. She quickly turned sideways to avoid it. Jiang Peihuan rushed to lit up the lamp. Under the light source, she saw a snake as thick as her arm laid on her bed. The colorful snake was curled up on her bed. Just moments ago, this snake was right above her head. If she hadn't reacted quickly, she would have been bitten. Jiang Peihuan was not sure of the snake's species, but she was certain not to risk herself. If it was highly venomous, one would surely die on the spot. As Jiang Peihuan looked at the snake also turned its gaze towards her. Suddenly, it sprang from the bed. Shocked, Jiang Peihuan swiftly dodged. She ran out of her room. The snake chased her, racing out into the courtyard. Jiang Peihuan gripped the long sword in her hand tightly to confront the snake. Considering it was winter, logically, there should not be any snakes. But the snake crawled up to Jiang Peihuan. It began to open its mouth, aiming to strike. Jiang Peihuan's reaction was swift, but the snake managed to wrap its tail around Jiang Peihuan's wrist as she evaded its bite. The cold, slimy sensation made Jiang Peihuan shiver involuntarily. She quickly used her free hand to grasp the snake's head. Jiang Peihuan yanked it forcefully and threw it to the ground. Yet, the large snake immediately lunged at Jiang Peihuan again, causing a flicker of panic in her eyes. Just as she was pondering what to do, Jiang Peihuan saw a white figure darting towards her, followed by the sound of a wolf's howl by her ear. Xiao Bai was still just a wolf pup, similar to a puppy. When it howled, one could clearly distinguish that it was a wolf's cry. Xiao Bai, come back. Jiang Peihuan could not bear the thought of it being bitten to death by the large snake. Xiao Bai opened his jaws, biting directly into the snake's belly. The snake, writhing in pain, wrapped around Xiao Bai's neck to fight back. Xiao Bai started to lose its strength against a full-grown snake. The snake further tightened its grip and prepared to bite Xiao Bai once there was an opportunity. Jiang Peihuan quickly rushed toward the snake with her long sword. The snake shook off Xiao Bai in pain. Jiang Peihuan catched Xiao Bai quickly. If it fell to the ground with its body condition now, it would be a fatal injury. Placing Xiao Bai on the ground, Jiang Peihuan whispered, Xiao Bai, well done. Stay still. Jiang Peihuan raised her sword, aiming it directly at the snake. The most vulnerable part of a snake was 7 inches behind its head. When Jiang Peihuan's advance forward, the snake neither dodged nor hid. It seems like a final round between them. The snake leaped powerfully once it noticed Jiang Peihuan was closed enough, its tail coiling around the wrist that held the sword. Now she was certain. This snake had been trained well to carry out assassination. She quickly reached out with her left hand, grabbing the hairpin gifted by Xiaonani, concealed a dagger. Jiang Peihuan the snake's vulnerable spot with the dagger. The snake, writhing in agony, twisted even more violently. A sharp pain shot through Jiang Peihuan's wrist. With one hand bound and the other stabbing the snake, she couldn't dodge. The snake struggled to gather its last strength to bite her. Qi. Xiaobai on the ground, upon seeing this scene, rushed forward for the rescue. Perhaps it was Xiaobai's repeated provocations that angered the large snake. This time, with its last breath the snake charged towards Xiaobai as well. Xiaobai. Anxiety filled Jiang Peihuan's eyes. Just as Jiang Peihuan was about to stab again, she saw a silhouette rushing towards them. Huan Er, stay still. It was Xiaonani. After Xiaonani came out of the palace, he went to the porridge distribution station only to find Jiang Songbai was there. He found out that Jiang Peihuan had already returned to the residence after asking Jiang Songbai. Xiaonani went back to the general's mansion directly. When he saw the scene in front of him, his eyes were filled with panic. Hearing Xiaonani's voice, Jiang Peihuan halted her actions. Xiaonani had already drawn his long sword. Leaping forward, with a swift stroke he severed the snake's head. In the end, the snake managed to bite Xiaobai. Luckily, the snake only managed to bite Xiaobai's leg. Xiaobai kept howling. Jiang Peihuan quickly approached and carried it in her arms. Xiaobai stopped struggling with fear. The snake was still wriggling on the ground. Xiaonani stepped forward and quickly cut the snake into several pieces. After that only he walked to Jian Peihuan's side and examined Xiaobai's injury with her. Although the snake's head had been chopped off, its teeth were still firmly biting onto Little White's leg. At this moment, Xiaonani was deeply grateful that he had brought Xiaobai back from the West Mountain. Eldest Miss. How can this snake be so big? When the people in the plum garden heard the commotion, they had already gotten up. Yu Er saw the snake that had been cut into several pieces in the courtyard, and her eyes were filled with shock. What happened to Xiaobai? Yu Er saw Xiaobai had been bitten by the snake's head. At this moment, Xiaonani grabbed Jian Peihuan's hand. Let me do it. Go get some wine. Xiaonani whispered to Yu Er, yes. A while later, Yu Er ran all the way to Xiaonani's side with some wine. Xiaonani took the wine pot from Yu Er. Xiaonani poured the wine on Xiaobai's injury spot. Soon, the snake's head loosened its teeth. However, Xiaobai also fell to the ground and spat out white foam from the corner of its mouth. Xiaobai? Jiang Peihuan stepped forward and picked Xiaobai up from the ground. Jian Peihuan's eyes were filled with worry as she looked at Xiaobai. Initially, Jian Peihuan treated Xiaobai as a pet. However, what happened tonight changed her view of Xiaobai. Tonight, Xiaobai no longer just a pet but a guardian to her. Chapter 233. Treating Xiaobai. Hanfeng, go get the veterinarian. Yes. Many concubines in the palace keep pets, so there is a dedicated veterinarian in the palace. Although Jiang Peihuan knew about medicine, she had never learned to treat animals. Holding Xiaobai, she was uncertain how to detoxify it. She brought Xiaobai into the room and tried to feed the pill to Xiaobai. But Xiaobai was too weak to swallow it. Huan Er, Xiaobai won't be able to swallow. As he spoke, Xiaonani took the tea from the table and put the antidote pill to dissolve into liquid form. The pill dissolved quickly. Holding the cup, Xiaonani said, "One will open Xiaobai's mouth. You pour the medicine in." Okay. Seeing Jiang Peihuan nod, Xiaonani held Xiaobai and forcefully opened its mouth. Pour it in, he whispered. Jian Peihuan poured the medicine into Xiaobai's mouth. After pouring all the medicine, Xiaonani held Xiaobai's mouth tightly to prevent it from spitting it out. At the same time, Xiaobai was too weak to break free at all. When Xiaobai calmed down, Xiaonani reached out and patted its head. Well done and rest well. Whether Xiaobai understood Xiaonani's words or not, it fell asleep. Hold it, I want to check its body. Jiang Peihuan was searching its body to ensure no other bite mark. At the same time, she noticed the bitten area was turning black, indicating a strong venom. It was obvious that it was poisonous. Your Highness, the veterinarian is here. Han Feng's voice echoed from outside. Jiang Peihuan immediately opened the door. She saw the veterinarian, who seemed to have been rushed over by Han Feng. The veterinarian looked agitated, but upon seeing Xiao Nani, he greeted respectfully, Your Highness. Examine it first, Xiao Nani ordered, placing Xiao Bai on a nearby table. The veterinarian glanced at Xiao Bai and exclaimed, Your Highness, is this a wolf cub? Yes. The vet carefully began to examine Xiao Bai. Jiang Peihuan observed his every move and asked several questions. Recognizing her status, the veterinarian answered patiently. After the examination, the veterinarian informed Jiang Peihuan. Fortunately, eldest miss, you fed this wolf cub the detoxifying pill, so there is no poison in its body. But its leg. To heal the cub's leg, we must first let out all the poisoned blood. The veterinarian said softly, at Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani. Once the blood is drained, we'll apply medicine and let it recover. In about half a month, the wolf cub should be fine. How do you drain the blood? Jiang Peihuan asked softly after hearing the veterinarian's explanation. The veterinarian whispered. Use a dagger to cut up the wounded area. Watch the blood flow out until it turns red. By the way, when making the incision, all the fur on the pup's leg needs to be shaved off. If any hair falls into the wound, it could easily cause it to fester. The veterinarian dared not touch the little wolf. After leaving the medicine, he left quickly. After the vet left, Jiang Peihuan turned to Xiao Nani and said, I'll shave the fur. I'll do it. Without waiting for Jiang Peihuan to react, Xiao Nani took out a dagger. When Xiao Nani and Jian Peihuan were trying to shave off its fur, Xiao Bai tried its best not to move. When Xiao Nani cut the wound, the little wolf wailed constantly. Hearing the little wolf's cries, Jiang Peihuan hurriedly touched its head. Xiao Bai, it will be over soon. We know it was painful. Just a little while. The little wolf didn't resist anymore, but kept trembling. After making the incision, Xiao Nani squeezed out the poisonous blood from the wound. Han Feng approached to help. After a short while the blood turned red. Huan the medicine. Jiang Peihuan, standing by, quickly applied the medicine left by the vet. After that, she bandaged the wound. After everything was done, Jiang Peihuan held Xiao Bai in her arms, gently stroking its head. This little fellow knows how to protect its master. Han Feng remarked. But the sudden appearance of a snake is really strange. Han Feng questioned himself. This snake didn't appear here on its own. It's a trained snake and someone brought it over. Jiang Peihuan whispered. As they walked out of the yard, Xiao Nani looked at the snake, which was cut into several sections on the ground. He coldly ordered Han Feng. Investigate where this snake came from. Yes. After Han Feng left, Xiao Nani told Jiang Peihuan. Huan stay alert for these days. All right. Eldest miss, the quilts on the bed have all been changed and checked carefully. Yu approached Jiang Peihuan and whispered. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan nodded. Miss, should we inform the general and the lady about this? Yu was very concerned about this accident. No need to tell my father and mother. Sitting in the chair, Jiang Peihuan gently stroked Xiao Bei's head. Yes. In Yu heart, Jiang Peihuan's words always came first. Do you have any clues in mind? After Yu left, Xiao Nani turned to Jiang Peihuan and asked. No. Hearing Xiao Nani's words, Jiang Peihuan shook her head. She had offended many people, and she couldn't immediately think of who might want to kill her. It's okay if you don't know. I've already asked Han Feng to investigate. We'll have the answer soon. It's getting late, you should rest. Are you going back to the palace? Lying in bed, Jiang Peihuan, seeing Xiao Nani sitting by her bed. I'll leave after you fall asleep. But I'm not sleepy at all. Chapter 234. Leave it to him to deal with. Jiang Peihuan truly wasn't sleepy at this moment. Xiao Nani did not respond verbally. Instead, he pulled out a bamboo flute from his robe. Jiang Peihuan looked on with a touch of surprise as Xiao Nani brought the flute. Shortly after, the melodic tones filled the room. Its sound was soothing and relaxing. She felt at ease. Sitting by Jiang Peihuan's bedside, Xiao Nani played the flute. His sight never took off from her. Whether it was because of Xiao Nanya's presence or the calming tunes of the flute, Jiang Peihuan started feeling drowsy. Xiao Nanya's tune became even more gentle. A few moments later, her breathing evened out in sleep. Xiao Nani stopped playing. After carefully tucking Jiang Peihuan in, Xiao Nani made his way out of the room. Guard her closely. Yes. Yi Xiao was standing outside the door. She promptly bowed in acknowledgement. Subsequently, Xiao Nani left the general's mansion. By early dawn, Han Feng returned to Qing Mansion. Approaching Xiao Nanya's study, he noticed the candlelight still flickering inside. Han Feng gently knocked on the door. Master. Come in. Hearing the voice from inside, Han Feng opened the door. After taking 2 steps forward and bowing to Xiao Nani, Han Feng spoke softly. Master, I have found out that the snake is Princess Zhuoma's pet. Where is she? At the post station. Take the mansion guards and surround the post station. Yes. Post station. An hour later, Xiao Nani, dressed in black, walked into the post station. The whole place was brightly lit. Hachi greeted him as he came out. After bowing to Xiao Nani, Hachi asked softly, Your Highness, may I ask the reason for your visit at this late hour? In these few days, Hachi had come to understand the intricate relationships among the city's influential figures. Thus, he was acutely aware of the immense power and influence wielded by the figure now standing before him, King Cheng. I came here late at night not to seek you but to find Princess Zhuoma. Zhuoma. Has Zhuoma offended you in some way? Thinking back to the hurried manner in which Zhuoma had recently left the post station, Hachi couldn't help but frown. He truly regretted it now. If he had known earlier that Zhuoma would be so restless, he wouldn't have brought her from the grasslands, despite her beauty. First Prince, are you aware that Princess Zhuoma attempted to harm my future queen by using a snake? Han Feng, who stood beside Xiao Nani, directly addressed Hachi upon hearing his words. Hearing this, Hakai's expression fluctuated. The eldest miss of the general's mansion. The influence and stature of the general's mansion in the capital was not to be underestimated. This was the information Hachi had gathered over the past few days. King Cheng, could there be some misunderstanding regarding this matter? Han Feng, bring the thing over. Yes. Shortly after, Han Feng approached Hachi with a box. He directly opened it. A strong, pungent odor of blood emanated from the box. Inside lay a snake, chopped into several sections. Hakai's complexion shifted, and his already troubled expression became even graver. It seems you recognizes this snake. Noticing the recognition in his eyes, Xiao Nani chuckled. Hachi nodded in acknowledgement. This colorful snake was unique to their grassland tribes, and he couldn't deny it. Where is Princess Zhuoma? She has entered the palace. Thank you for informing, First Prince. With that, Xiao Nani turned and left directly. Watching Xiao Nanya's departing figure, Hachi hurriedly caught up. King Cheng, this matter concerns my grassland tribe. One will accompany you. Saying so, Hachi mounted his horse. Sitting atop his steed, Zhueyun, Xiao Nani seemed lost in thought, then suddenly instructed Han Feng beside him. Go to the general's mansion and ask Jiang Peihuan to come to the palace. Yes. Han Feng raised his whip. At this time, Jiang Peihuan had already gotten up. She was about to go to the city as she walked into the courtyard. She saw Han Feng descending from the sky. Xiao Nani loves to climb over the wall to visit her every day instead of walking through the front gate. Like his master, Han Feng shared the same habit. Eldest Miss. Han Feng walked up to Jiang Peihuan and bowed respectfully. Waving her hand dismissively, Jiang Peihuan softly asked, Why have you come? Eldest Miss, the master has identified the owner of the snake. He has requested you to visit the palace. Whose snake is it? Princess Zhuoma. Upon hearing this, Jiang Peihuan wasn't surprised at all. Such a venomous snake could only come from the grassland tribes. Elder sister? Eldest sister? Jiang Xijin and Jiang Ruyin entered the plum garden. Seeing the two of them, Jiang Peihuan said softly, I have something to deal with. You guys go to the city first. Yes. Elder sister, do you have something to deal with? Do you need my help? It's just a small matter. Jiang Peihuan didn't want to share the events of the previous night with the household to avoid unnecessary worry. After sending Jiang Xijin and Jiang Ruyun on their way, Jiang Peihuan followed Han Feng to the palace. Upon reaching the palace gates, Jiang Peihuan noticed Xiao Nani waiting. The man was draped in the white cloak that she had tailored for him. Hearing her approach, he turned to face her. Huan air. A hint of warmth flashed in Xiao Nani's eyes. Inside the palace, horses were prohibited. As Jiang Peihuan prepared to dismount, she noticed Xiao Nani extending a hand to assist her. Placing her hand in his, she gracefully alighted from her horse. Let's go in. You don't have to worry about this matter. Leave it to me. Without the emperor's decree, no one was allowed to enter the palace, but no one dared to stop them. Once inside the palace, Xiao Nani turned to Jiang Peihuan. With his words, she nodded. Initially, Jiang Peihuan had intended to resolve this matter privately. However, now that Xiao Nani had escalated the situation, she will go with the flow. In the Qianqing Palace, Emperor Qiming had just risen when he heard Wang Kun's report. Of all the names mentioned, he only caught on to Xiao Nani's. "What's that fellow doing here so early in the morning?" he whispered. "I am not sure. But the eldest miss from the Jiang family, as well as Prince Hachi and Princess Shuama, have also arrived too." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.